We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 68. Cole. How are you, Cole?
I'm doing amazing. You know, have had moments this week, some deep depression, but it's only like moments. It usually only happens in like the morning, I would say. Usually in the afternoon and nighttime, though, and especially today, I've been in a really good mood. I know, so because I just the last topic for this week I watched today, and which was one of the films, and it was something I didn't see since I was like four, and damn, that was a an awesome film. Put me in a good mood. But yeah, I mean, how has your day been, Multi?
Very good. I watched stuff. I woke up. That's like my second day off, and I enjoy Tuesdays. It's just that great day in the
Yeah,
week where I
yeah.
get to
I'm
sleep.
sorry if Inhumans ruined your week.
How are you, Gray?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Sounds like yeah, we had a similar experience. There's been a few ups and downs, but things are good, man. It's always good to be here on a Tuesday.
Perfect. Well, I suggest we start off with Texas Chainsaw, uh, because I think I will be very negative, and because that's
What?
the first thing I've seen.
How could you possibly be?
Horror is not my kind. I think horror is one of the genre I like the least, and I got bunch of issues with a lot of stuff. I don't think it's an awful movie, but I don't think it's amazing either. It has issues. It has issues. Um, and I see my Discord being very active right now. Okay, so okay. Um, so I got distracted. Yeah, as I said, um, not a bad movie, but not that amazing either. So I will let whoever wants to go first on that one, and then I will maybe go second or third. We will see how it goes. Who wants to go first?
Well, I have a lot of notes, so I'll just get them out of the way. But yeah, so it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre you wanted to start with, right?
Yeah, the first one, and then we will cover
Now,
the second one.
okay, well, I mean, I can understand if you weren't like into this, and also when I first saw this as a kid, I wasn't like into it, but much. I didn't think it was a bit boring, and I didn't like completely get some of the things. But when I watched it as like a teen, I really fell in love with it. It's probably like my favorite. If we're just talking about like the traditional like slasher or general audience like type of genre of like horror films out there, and like the old classics. This would probably be possibly my favorite. Yeah, I really love this, and I think it. Yeah, not only because of how amazing I think it is, though, but the stories about its creation are very interesting and intense, which really adds to it. And I'll talk about some of them when I get to it. But yeah, I do think Toby Hooper really peaked too early in his career with this, so to make something like this ever again. But I think he really redefined horror with this film. Like first thing, I just want to compliment, yeah, Gunnar Hansen. He's the actor who played Leatherface in this, and his movement and acting in this is so insane and iconic. I love it. It's one of the best performances I think I've ever seen by someone playing a serial killer in a mask. I'd say it was better than Michael Myers, in my opinion, especially that ending with him. That was just like insane. Uh, but also, I will say one metaphor for what this film basically is about is it's treating humans in this film the same way that people treat animals in slaughterhouses. And you can notice it as you watch the film with the flesh everywhere, the traps, the steel steps they trip on, the weapons, the meat hooks, and so on. And I'm pretty sure that Wes Craven, Nightmare on Elm Street guy, and Scream passed away, I think, like 5 years ago. But yeah, he said that I think he said watching this made him a vegetarian. So yeah. Now, one thing that I think really makes this film special is the fact that it takes place in daylight. Almost every horror film ever takes place at night. This does something unique though, and it shows that daytime can still be scary and that you aren't safe just because there's light out. It shows the audience is watching it how death can come at any time. Something that Toby Hooper I think really revolutionized in the genre of this film. The jump scares in this film are incredible. There's nothing wrong with jump scares themselves in films. It's how many dumb, cheap general audience horrors by like Blumhouse and others utilize them terribly, where it's just like a pop out book. This, however, does jump scares so well, and they're some of the best of all time, in my opinion. Like the way it's edited and shot makes it so unexpected with each one, and gives you no time to think. Well, not just being cheap, loud music and having like such great movement with the actors makes the audience just like speechless at what they witnessed in quick scenes out of nowhere, them just like coming out literally out of nowhere, and it was really well done with how it was shot and edited and everything, in my opinion. And now I can't remember. I think this was based on true events in like Texas or something, but
Loosely,
uh,
Ed Gein.
yeah. But I believe they got the idea for this, I believe, um, off of things like the Vietnam War and other thing, and how America used to like always hide and manipulate things, and that was like one of the inspirations for it, where they got the idea for it. And the other one I'll say later, and it was actually a pretty funny story. But either way, though, it does a great job at making it like feel like you're watching like something found on a camera of people committing crimes, and especially with its opening statement. Now, like remember, the only thing we got before this at the time that went anywhere far, for North American horrors or slashers, and this was also like only a year after like slashers really became a thing in general, like in the Spanish cinema and such with like Torso. Was films like The Last House on the Left and Psycho. So that's another thing you have to like remember. It's like there's some things that might feel a little bit outdated with like characters, and how they kind of like feel like certain like cliche characters just like walk into their death, sort of like a Friday the 13th film. But again, you have to remember that this was like the first film ever that did this, so it gets that leeway, sort of like how Terminator, with the visual effects and CGI at the time, it's like that's the best they have to work with. So you can't really fault it. And yeah, also let's see, the docudrama delivery and editing works so well for this, and just witnessing what happens when these characters are placed in an unusual situation. I also love how it isn't like overly gory or violent. There isn't actually that much that happens with that. It relies on everything else well and leaves it to the audience's imagination, such as the cannibal elements. It doesn't show them like eating, like live humans or anything, but or eating like human flesh that it's confirmed. They are cannibals, and that leaves you to your imagination, and I like that a lot. The makeup effects and everything for 1973 are super well done. The authenticity of it is incredible with the balance, with its different setting and production design, stuff that also became iconic thanks to this film and other films. Like they were really out there, dying in the sun from heat stroke, making this film, barely getting any liquid, and they did not have characters shower the entire time to make it feel authentic, and they used real stuff for many things, such as real animal corpses and blood. The chainsaw and hammer are real, and them being so close to the actors' faces with the live chainsaws were real. And it could have easily resulted in death during the making of it. Like when he was chasing her with the chainsaw, he could have easily like tripped and killed himself or killed her by accident. And also, yeah, the music, radio reports, tone, and atmosphere I think is incredible. I think it's very well shot and shows so many scenes of deaths at the beginning to hint at what's to come with the characters, such as the scenes with like showing graveyards and everything and roadkill. It really like definitely like shows visually, well, tells visually a lot and makes it very suspenseful of how oblivious the characters were of it. Now, I don't find the characters in this to be like dumb or making dumb decisions personally, because you have to understand this happens all the time in real life. Many people wouldn't expect this to happen to them ever. There was never like any threat until Leatherface showed up, which only characters saw one by one instead of seeing him kill any of their friends who went missing. And sure, like they went missing, they didn't know where they were, but I mean, I'm sure the majority of people's conclusion right off the bat probably isn't that. Besides like the last two, which then got concerned, but the others more understandable that early on. But also just the reason why it's also not that dumb is the time period. You have to understand multi, and I think if you understood this, you still might criticize it and lower the rating. But I want you to at least understand this because this kind of explains why in the film. This represents how people in the 60s and 70s actually were. Like, this was just accurate to how teens in that area were. They were very free spirited and didn't have any concern or fear for that stuff. And even with like just picking anyone up in their van like that, like that was literally just every teen in like the 60s and 70s. So, yeah, for that reason, I don't have an issue with it. And again, it's like the first in its genre that kind of did this type of thing. So I also think it gets leeway there. I also love how there's like no build up with Letterface. It just randomly happens out of nowhere, which makes it that much more impactful. The ending really makes it feel like this is just one random encounter and an open case, which really adds to it. Uh, Now, also, I'll just quickly bring up the remake quickly. We won't watch it or any others after the second, as there's so many and they're all bad. There's no point; they're all just cash grabs, trash. But especially the newest one on Netflix in 2022. But the one I'll give
What about
credit
the
for though
McConaughey
is
one?
yeah, well, the one I'll give credit for is the one that released sometime in like 2004, 2005, for at least doing some things right and keeping the disgusting, like gritty feel of it and making changes that are also to its own film's benefit, such as having them pick up a traumatized girl who then shoots herself because they're driving to that location again, and she'd rather die now than go through it again instead of some crazy person. It had some pretty horrifying sequences and ideas too that worked. So it was decent and the only one worth watching outside of these two. So if anyone watching this wants to watch one of them, then I would recommend that one. I believe it's by the same director who did like the Friday the 13th film in like 2008. But anyway, yeah, this felt just so real and horrifying already that I like how they didn't like need to add some origin story to this because it didn't need it. It was already like, yeah, you could already grasp it how real and horrifying it is. Like it added an origin story to it, and the character would have just made it worse. But yeah, here's the other thing though that kind of inspired him to make this film. Toby Hooper was Christmas shopping, and he saw a chainsaw, and then he got annoyed with all the people in his way shopping too on Christmas, and then he legit said to himself, "I know a way I can get through this crowd really quickly while holding a chainsaw." Anyway, the hitchhiker and crazy guy they picked up at the beginning was also actually a Vietnam veteran. That actor, like the crazy guy who cut the one dude in the wheelchair and everything at the beginning, and in the van. And he said that shooting this film with with the condition they were all in was worse than the Vietnam War. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, just now some fun facts of its production though. Not only were everything like the bones, carcasses, blood, the heat, the not showering, and so on were real, but many things they did were real too. They could not set up a prop properly with that finger scene where the character gets her finger cut and then the old man is like sucking on it in that dinner scene. Remember that multi? Yeah. So Toby
Classic.
Hooper just said, "Fuck it, do it for real," and they actually cut her and had him sucking on her blood, and her reaction to it while having that shit in her mouth, like gagged, was genuine. And that entire dinner scene also took an entire day to film. There was no proper ventilation in that room, too. So there was heat stroke, and then there was the smell with the heat of rotten meat, and everything happened. And it got so bad and intense that casting crew members, like after every 5 minutes, took turns running out of the room, vomiting out a window, and getting some fresh air because it was that bad. And also that shot at the end with her when she hopped in the truck away from Leatherface, and she was, she saw she was like screaming, having like a mental breakdown. That wasn't acting. Um, so she thought she was finally done with this production and could go back to normal after all this shit. But then she had to go back on set to reshoot that. So she had a legit mental breakdown. That wasn't acting. That was a genuine psychotic episode. She also like burnt her face for real, and she was also like cut by branches and glass many times. And yeah, when they struggled. Here's another fun fact for you, Malty. When they struggled to get the film distributed because of the violence, they finally found one in Branston, or whatever you call it, Pictures, which was a front for the mafia run by members of the Colombo crime family, and they then shafted them after the film they reported only made 1 million at the box office, even though it made 12 million, just so they could then secretly pocket a bunch of it. So it was only when they got arrested, and then it got different distribution rights, that the casting crew actually got made money from it. And also, they did shitloads of weed on set, and the actor playing Leatherface Gunnar Hansen, he ate a pot brownie for the first time, so he filmed scenes with the real chainsaw while dizzy and high and sawing through shit, which it could have ended horribly. Also, the narrator of the film at the beginning and such wasn't paid any money for the role. He was paid in one marijuana cigarette. Let's see.
I
Yeah,
believe that
two
was
more.
Jonathan Larroquette, wasn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, two more fun facts. Okay, second last one. Gunnar Hansen's costume was a big liability. He hit his head and knocked himself out many times for real. And he also had to wear high heels that entire time to make the movement that much absurd. And also, lastly, all the sounds, like the music and the sound effects in this film, are done to make it sound like what animals would hear in a slaughterhouse before being executed. So yeah, so there's this history of the film for you, all the fun facts, and also all the aspects, and why I think it's amazing. I think this is just such a well-made horror film. I think it's incredible. I really don't have like any flaws with it. The only flaws that I can think of are just things that might not age well. Looking at it now, but for its time, like that's the best they could have done, and it was like the first that kind of ever did something like that. And it was 1973, so I don't have an issue with it myself. But yeah, I really loved it. And yeah, sorry that took forever, but yeah, I promise the rest of the topics won't be like this. This was the one topic I had a lot to say about. But yeah, who wants to go next?
Me.
Yeah. Okay, go right ahead, Multi.
By the way, Cole, never be sorry. That's part of the discussion, and I like your takes. And after everything you said, I actually respect the movie slightly more. I still don't think it's a great movie, but
You're wrong.
I respect the movie much more now that I have the entire context. And fun fact, based on what you said, I actually thought the backstory of the movie is better than the movie itself. Oh, okay. You kind of predicted some of my issues, and even if you
Yeah,
tried to defend, I still think they are genuine issues. So, number one, too many characters. I didn't give a crap about any of them, and I was like, oh yeah, they're just there to get slaughtered. That's it.
yeah, yeah. You
Like
know,
a lot of horror movies, and this is why I'm not a big
yeah,
fan
but
of
this
horror
was kind of like the
movies.
first that kind of did this type of thing. You have to remember.
And the grandpa was 112 years old. I mean, come on, cut him a break.
Yeah,
Points for the grandpa for really sucking that finger.
yeah,
Um, plot convenience. Picking up a random guy waiting on the road. Um, I K Dot. Right now, we are talking about
Nope.
Halloween. Not Halloween. Chainsaw Massacre. It's like all the same thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
the
Which
first
one,
one.
dear? Oh,
The
the
first
the
very
one.
very
first one.
original.
You have seen it?
I haven't seen it in a while, but I seen it. I really don't remember like that. I'd have to rewatch that one. I recently
Yeah.
seen the bad one though on Netflix.
The bad
Oh
one.
yeah, the 2022 one. Yeah, yeah. They tried pulling a Halloween like 2018 with it, and oh fuck.
So anyway, this is what we are talking about right now. But after that, we will talk Gen V because you're there. Um, so next issue would be telling instead of showing. They tell so much instead of showing, and I can't even remember the perfect example because I won't forget about that movie ever existed. Next up would be the girl being stupid to look for cure gets on my nerve. The second guy being dumb enough to enter as well in the house of someone he doesn't know. Uh,
And well, he
now,
thought it was kind of abandoned though. It looked at like an abandoned place. Like
mm,
there were like no
mm,
tours pretty much or anything.
you're
You
giving
know, in the
reason to the
rooms like
movie. You defend the
no, but
writer.
it really was. It really was. And again, with what I said about the characters, you know, and like the time period, it makes more sense. But also, what was the one thing you said again? Though it was the tell instead of showing.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can't remember the perfect
there
example,
really
but
wasn't much talking in this film, and they did a lot of like visual storytelling. I think, like again, the thing at the beginning, how it's like again, like they're hinting at their demise and everything. Like, there's a lot of visual storytelling, like all the death scenes and everything. It's there's no talking or anything during them, like those whole sequences.
now I got like a part where I marked down the movie. Let's go search for our lost friends when it's all dark. Characters. What a great idea. For real, it feels so stupid.
Yeah, hey, well, the
Uh,
wheelchair guy thought it was stupid, you know.
I don't care if they still did it. That's wrong. Pacing after they brought their last victim in the house, it felt like dragging the movie for the sake of it. Even if I enjoyed that sucking finger scene, I was like, "That's creepy. That's the point of it." I'm like, "Bruh, movie is just lasting for way too long for nothing."
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say that scene did last maybe like a little bit too long than it maybe could have, but they did do a lot of things in it, and I think they really wanted to like make you feel what they were feeling on the set while spending 24 hours in that rain dying and like with no hope. I think that's what they were really trying to do. But so what was the thing you said prior to that though? I'm curious.
Um,
Following
the
your friends.
the characters being really stupid.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to mention, yeah, again, remember this isn't, when like phones and stuff,
I
cell
don't
phones or
care.
anything. Yeah,
These
so I was
characters are
saying,
stupid.
yeah, their car and the stuff. Also, their van wasn't, the best. When if you remember that in the film, like they didn't have like the most places to travel to or go while in that situation. So, so it's more understandable a bit again in this time period.
We could call
But,
this movie a
but what
satire,
would the
bro.
unstupid? But what would the unstupid thing be to do in that situation? So then you're just sitting in one space, and then they come and get you. Like you saw all the junked cars in their backyard, right, or in their whatever lot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any getting away from this. I think either you walk
Yeah.
into it or it finds you.
Pretty much. And again, with this time period, this was just like how people in the 60s and 70s were. This was like every teen in that time. And once again, they didn't know of the threat. Like people don't know this, like crazy stuff like this is actually going to happen to them until it happens. Like it's very rare this stuff happens to people.
Mm. Anyway, the movie still has a few good things to go for outside of the amazing backstory Cole shared. I
Yeah.
thought the opening sequence was entertaining. The guy being depicted as nuts was entertaining. The guy being kicked out was well made because it was like, yo, the guy is cutting himself, kick him out, and he's unwell. And they did. So I was like reassured they didn't keep him around. Um, the guy with the wheelchair is the most likable of the bunch. He's also the smartest one. Like, he's
What?
actually the only character I care for, to be honest.
You found him likable?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
They made it believable that the villain isn't good at chasing people since he's fat and most likely walking with his heels or something.
Yeah, he was walking with heels and everything. Like,
Well, that was the well made part, because sometimes in movies I'm like, bruh, they must catch up to the victim, you know. But here, it actually made sense. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll give him a pass there. That's a good point there. Um, so yeah, that's all I got to say. So I will let Gray talk and maybe save this movie image.
Yeah, so I could not disagree with Multi more. This movie is just a classic, and like from the very first frame until the last frame, it is a piece of art. The cinematography, I think it was Daniel Pearl who's the cinematographer on this.
yeah,
But there's
yes.
so many iconic shots, and it just so many films borrow from this, and what it did was so innovative. But like Cole was mentioning, like this is mainly during the day. Like, yeah, the dinner scene is at night, but when she breaks out of there, it's during the day again. Almost all the horror takes place during the day, and that's just like so different from most horror movies. And then, like Cole was mentioning, not a lot of the violence is actually shown. Like, it's kind of depicted in the background. You kind of know what's going on, but it's not like the later chainsaw flicks where it is kind of like a slasher or a gore fest. This is much different. It's more of like a, I don't know, it's not thriller. I guess suspense horror is kind of a little bit more what this one was going for. But so many of the actors are just amazing. And one thing that I do want to contend with Cole with, you were saying that Toby Hooper might have peaked here. I don't know, man. So what he was trying for was apparently a really dark comedy. At least that's what he kept saying in a bunch of the interviews.
Well, there's
I don't think
definitely
he quite
comedy
hit
in
that
this.
here.
Yeah,
There is, but he was trying to say that
didn't-
everything on this was supposed to be like the same tone as 2. And I just don't think he knew quite how to do that. But like Poltergeist, which he did, I think, 2 films from this, that was just like amazing. I think that hit the tone that he was going for. And then
what I
you get
will
the
say
really
is
weird
this, so what I will what I mean by peak is I'm not saying like he didn't like improve with like what he really wanted to get on screen as a director, and also like not that he hasn't made a bunch of great films after this as well, because he has. I just like think with like as for cultural impact, but also just like what people think is the magnum opus in their career, like it would probably be this. So I do think in those regards, like, because I don't think anything else after that was able to follow up onto that same level. But that is tough to do, so I don't blame him. But yeah, that is true though. This was supposed to be more of a comedy, and there were comedic elements in this for sure, especially the stuff with the dinner scene. And yeah, too, like
especially upon like rewatch, you can kind of pick up on the elements. I think the first time you see it, you're a little turned off.
But maybe that's why Multi liked 2 more, but because more comedic. But yeah, I mean that was more of like what the first one was originally supposed to be, like Multi. But also before you continue, Gray, I did just want to say I don't know if Multi brought it up as an issue or not, but this is something some people brought up as like they're confused by it. At the very end with the guy, they're like, why didn't he drive away in like the one truck while you saw him at the door? The one guy who like showed up in that truck, that vehicle, he just like ran out instead and like threw like a fucking wrench or something at him and then just like ran away. Here's the thing. During that time and with trucks like those, when they stop, it takes like minutes to load back up. So that he would be fucked. They would both be dead by then. And then he was also he needed to run. If he tried going back to it while he's on that side, then he's dead. So that's why basically.
And I also remember they mentioned they like fuel because they stopped somewhere and that
they were looking for fuel.
Yeah.
And when they saw the vehicles at this house, they thought they could get fuel there. So that's why they initially went over.
Yeah.
But yeah, just some of those shots, like I can't remember the character's name, but when she's like on the swinger bench right in front of the house and then starts walking towards it, it's just like such an iconic shot. And so many movies have just like ripped that particular shot off, where it's kind of a very low angle camera, just like watching somebody walk up to an ominous property. But There's just so many amazing things on this. The sound design alone, like it's not exactly music, but it's just like so many.
Oh yeah,
just
like you know what they
industrial
use
sounds,
for it, right?
like the camera flash. So supposedly Toby Hooper was using a bunch of things around his house.
Yeah, they use stuff
which one
like
specifically?
forks against like steel and many other things, just to like
But like the sound of the camera flash at the beginning,
Yeah.
it's just so iconic. That like weird, like it's not a camera flash. I don't know what that sound is, but yeah, there's just so many iconic things about this.
Well, again, the sound is basically
yeah,
the slaughterhouse right before they get executed. The animals. That's basically what he was.
Yeah, there's so many like kind of hidden things that they're showing you, but they definitely aren't telling you. And that's one of the things I want to kind of argue with Multi about. Well, not argue, but I disagree with you, sir. Essentially, yeah, there's so many things that like upon like seeing it a second, third time, you catch more and more.
Yeah,
things,
they didn't even mention the cannibal stuff. They didn't even say anything about the cannibal stuff, even though they are cannibals. Like they didn't like it,
yeah,
like the majority of this film is show instead of tell. It's like I don't know what Multi means by that.
It was only most likely like one early scene or one early sequence where they tell backstory or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd rather see it than hearing about it. But you guys are right. A lot of things are showed.
But wait, hold on. If there was like a flashback to like a backstory or something, though, what like this film is supposed to just like take place completely in the present in like one day. And sort of like a found footage type thing, as like almost like a crime thing. So if they did that, it would have, broke the fourth wall and ruined it. So it was better if they told. And again, sometimes it's better to, show with like flashbacks or scenes or something in the past, but other times it's better to tell, just like this and the Gremlins thing as well.
I can't remember my exact example, but I agree with both of you that a lot of it's shown and not told, but I still remember marking down as one moment or one scene that kind of bothered me. So, yeah.
Fair enough. The other thing that I wanted to point out, and I think Cole touched on it too, is just like the actual set design and then the actual like props that they used are just so amazing. Apparently they had this guy picking up like every bit of roadkill and going to like every slaughterhouse to just pick up bones.
Oh yeah,
and just
and you also know why they did that dinner
like,
thing in one day. It's because they took so long to put the makeup on the dude playing the old man in the chair. That he just said,
supposedly it was like a plastic surgeon who did his makeup.
Yeah, so it's just like, I'm not doing it a second time. I'm not going through it a second time. We're doing this in one sitting.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. But yeah, it was really intense of a film. And I don't know, it's impacted me a ton. I do think about it a lot. And yeah, it's just kind of... I don't know, shaped a lot of horror. So yeah, for me, it's just iconic, and there's just so many things to like about it. Yeah, the pacing could be a little bit different, but this again was shot in like 73, so I don't know. They're always a little bit slower, but yeah, I don't have enough positive that I could say about this thing.
Well, that's very good to know. Now, before we give our grade, I'm wondering if K-Dot has anything to say about the first Texas Chainsaw, about what you remember or what you remember having as an experience with the movie.
I honestly don't remember much from it. I mean, hot take for me personally, I don't dislike the first movie, but I kind of like them. My favorite one is the Michael Bay remake.
Wow, that is kind of a hot take.
The one with Jessica Biel. That's probably my favorite one overall for the franchise that I like.
That's very interesting. I haven't seen that one, but yeah, I enjoy having.
It's actually one of those good remakes too.
Yeah,
I like having different opinion. That's always amazing. That someone can praise a remake. Wow,
franchise for sure.
Yeah, well, there are some remakes that are better than the original. I wouldn't say this is one of them personally, but I know there's a lot of people who are fans of that remake. The rest of them are shit, but that one has fans. But like for example, though, like the John Carpenter's The Thing is technically a remake, so
So yeah, at first I gave this movie a 6 out of 10, but just because of the wonderful and amazing backstory about the movie, I'm like maybe I'm too harsh, so I will give zero point 0.5 back. So in the end, for me, that's a 6.5 out of 10. What about you, Green?
Yeah. I'm a little torn. I'm guessing I'd go 9. I was kind of going between an 8 and a 5 and a 9. I think just its impact and just again, like I took a look at some of the shots today, and it's such a beautiful film for being such a dark subject. Yeah, I think I'd go 9.
And what about you, Cole?
Yeah. Well, I would say probably I'll give it a 10.
Ooh, ooh, spicy, spicy. So I guess now the next topic will be Gen V, and usually I let our new guest start off with that, but this time around I will let Cole start by only talking about episode 5 since you didn't really talk about it last week, and after that we will let K Dot go second.
All right, episode 5. Yeah, so this episode I did like. I think as you mentioned, there was a lot that happened in this episode, and yeah, I think there were definitely some issues though. Still, um, I do think the acting by people are actually improving though as the show goes on, and I do think some of the filmmaking is also improving as it goes on, but there are still some issues with like writing wise and tech technically. I think it could be better, but I did like it though. Still, I don't have too much to say about this episode. I usually don't have too much to say about a lot of episodes for this show right now. But let me see. Do I have? Okay, well, I think yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of maybe more I could say, but yeah, I really don't have too much. I did like the music more in this episode. I wasn't usually a fan of the music in other episodes, but I thought it fit well in this one, and it fit with the scenes and the emotions and stuff. So there's that, and yeah, I just found like all the things that they were doing in it very fascinating, especially definitely want learn more about like the facility stuff. So yeah, that's probably all I'd have to say. I mean, if you want to rate in, uh, probably give it like a 6.5 to 7 for me.
Okay, very interesting. So we will let K Dot go first with episode 6.
Well, episode 6 of Gen V. Um, I I thought the episode was fine. Kind of pissed that Soldier Boy wasn't actually in this episode. It was just a figment of what's the girl's name again? That blonde hair girl's imagination. Soldier Boy was her favorite
Neat.
thing to do stuff to growing up. But a interesting take on well, I say it's not the first time we've seen this. Characters jumping inside somebody's head, and trying to save them. But this one was different from most because they had this twist of okay, if she doesn't wake up, they all die too. So I thought that was a interesting thing to add stakes to it. And I think some of the stuff that was revealed about the characters, which I kind of figured was the case, like for example, that kid Andre cheating with Kate. Hold up.
So I guess something happened, and K Dot is kind of occupied for now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Um,
sorry. Did you want to go multi or?
I will let you go actually. So
Okay.
start off on
Yeah,
that.
I'll try to be quick, but yeah, not that I have too much to say again, but yeah, I like this episode, and I didn't like it as much with like some things going on as like last episode because there was a lot that went on, but with how this was made and acted and everything in this episode, I think this is one of the best so far, in my opinion. If I I think it showed a lot of like ambitious elements and moments and a lot of depth to the characters that I don't think they did as great of a job with in the other episodes so far. I think this fixed some of those issues though and did a good job with that. And I thought all the performances were actually pretty strong in this particular episode. And I enjoyed where the story was going. Now, my issues would just be the same issues I usually have with the other episodes, some weak write-in, some weak like musical, technical sound elements I think could be better, and not the best filmmaking as it could be. Like again, it almost feels like this is like the boys creators, like they took like because I know there are a bunch of directors and writers of the show. It almost feels like they took all the ones like half of them who did the weakest episodes in the boys seasons and then put them as like a B team to go work on this. But yeah, probably about it. But again, I like probably number one thing though. I really actually like the performances in this episode. I think that was the strongest thing in my opinion, and it really carried the narrative. So yeah, I guess they're finally improving. I guess again, the actors aren't the most experienced; they're just starting out. So I guess this is more of like when they get more like screen chemistry with each other and everything. So yeah.
So I guess K Dot, since you're back, you can keep going with what you were saying before something came up on your side.
Yeah, so I thought the episode was fine. I'll be honest with you, I'm still waiting to get like a very action packed episode. I mean, the boys hasn't really been that, but like not just like shock factor type of interesting. I mean, like something really riveting and engaging sequence of action, kind of like the boys season 3 when Homelander, Soldier Boy, and Butcher got into it. Still waiting for that. Waiting to see what that kid is going to do. Sam, we're still waiting. We only got really exposed to him punching the guy through the stomach and his puppet fight, which was funny. Uh, the also the the way they handled that sequence of lovemaking was interesting. It was funny though. I was laughing. It was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, but I kind of like that both those characters are together now. I feel like it was maybe a little bit too rushed. It's probably something that should have waited until the end of the season. But they're young people. Young people are super horny and stuff. It happens.
And
But,
I think the writer are also super orny, but hey, keep
yeah,
going, bro.
but I would say the best thing that was revealed was we got deeper into what happened with the main girls. The aftermath of what happened with the main girl and how her sister treated her. We already had an idea, but we seen more of the aftermath. Still want to see, potentially her sister in the modern day now, in the present day of this show. Andre, uh, he didn't really have nothing compelling going on. I mean, well, I already knew he was cheating with that girl anyways, so it was nothing really compelling. But it was just weird that Kate, because Kate was the one who was kind of like running things in there. It's kind of weird she tried to um use Golden Boy as a weapon when it's like you was a part of it too. It's like you was because the way she utilized Golden Boy to attack him, and I'm like, you're part of the cheating situation. I mean, you cheated on Golden Boy too, but whatever. Um, Jordan, for me, I think Jordan had the best reveal. For turning a blind eye to what was going on with Golden Boy. But I what hurt the most was probably Kate's involvement the whole time when she was like literally there. She wiped it. She wiped his memories of his brother. But I want to know like what caused Golden Boy to keep um fighting back against the mind control, right? Because they said they keep alluding to the fact that he was powerful, like just as powerful as he might be as powerful as Homelander, and we've seen that he is pretty strong. So maybe I don't know. He just had an ability that we didn't know about yet, possibly, where mind control is not as effective on him as other soups. But overall, it was an okay episode. It was not bad. Thought it was an okay episode. So, but I am in general liking this show. Superhero shows, please keep up the momentum like this. Not many can do it.
That's very positive and interesting. Now, I think Cole, you're done your part, right? For now, you said what you wanted to share, right? Cole.
Oh, yeah, I said
Okay.
pretty much everything.
So
Again, I'm sorry. This is the one like topic each week. I don't have too much to say about.
that's fine. Now I know Dre, you're much more positive than me, so this is why I will go next. So I have a side note here. I didn't take away any points from that episode with that side note, but yeah, side note. I wanted the girl to burn and die, but yet the characters try to defend or excuse her and her actions. I truly hate that character even more after this episode, and I wish she just stayed there and self-deleted. I truly despise that character. There's no way she's redeemed. Well, I have a few ideas to redeem her, but first of all, they're not that great because that's a superhero TV show, and we like uh, characters who have powers. And my only way to really redeem her is she literally stop using her damn power, because every single turn and every single ways she used her powers on a vile way. Whether it's because she is a puppet of someone or because she is like that. Um, so that's the only way you can redeem that character for me. Make her stop user power, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of drastic choices. I just think she's beyond redemption. But I don't think the writer are thinking that way, because why should they, Anyway, that's my side note. Me hating that character a
Well,
lot.
if they do approach it from this perspective, because they kind of didn't, they could treat it as if like she's addicted to doing it also. Like
She is
it's
a
almost a
victim for the writer. They made it obvious, and
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
made
She
every
was
character. They
yeah
made
She
she
every.
was
was. It can be both. Like she was, but uh, uh,
because sometimes when people like treat it like a drug addiction, some people can't kick it
yeah,
like it's something that takes discipline. And it could also be that she was manipulated in a sense,
yeah.
because when that lady the principal came to visit her when she was young, she was a child, she was impressionable, she was able to twist her mind and tell her, hey, there's nothing wrong with using your ability, you should be using them, blah blah blah,
Yeah,
but you should
and
use them in
also
this
this
way.
is kind of like serial killers as well. It's like they have
Yeah.
trauma growing up, but
Yeah. Um. So that's my side note. I don't trust this writer to give her any depth or growth throughout the show.
I do think they gave her some more depth in this episode. Same with the others.
Now she's just like used by everyone. And that's it. Um. So okay, my first issue I got with this actual episode would be more bedroom fun I don't give a crap for, breaking the main story I actually cared for. And this is funny because the main plot with the mindscape and that kind of stuff, I actually enjoyed it and I cared for it, even if I truly hate that character that is basically the center of it. I was invested with that plot. And we just have them. Oh yeah, let's have some bedroom fun because these writers, they are obsessed with it. Like this week, it felt like Game of Thrones met freaking The Boys and Gotham Knight. I always bring back Gotham Knight because this show was a garbage crap there. Anyway, um, more boring scene with the couple I don't care about. So two of my issues so far are that subplot I didn't give a crap about. Um, Next up would be pacing, showing stuff we already know about the main character. Um, oh, okay. Okay. So, before you leave, K Dot, um, I'm wondering, what would be your grade out of 10 for this episode?
Out of 10, I'll give this episode a 8. It was it wasn't the most like exciting episode, but for, looking at what it is, still like an 8 out of 10 episode. Not every episode is going to be super riveting as you would expect.
Well, thank you for sharing a lot. Thank you for coming. What do you have going on your channel for anyone that doesn't know you?
Yesterday I dropped a video talking about the bugs from Spider-Man 2. I enjoyed the game. Everybody don't think I hated it. PlayStation fans don't attack me like wild dogs. I like the game, but there is some bugs that people are excusing. And today I got a video about Prototype 3 coming out since Xbox recently acquired Activision Blizzard, and the Prototype franchise is under that. And I was going to do a video talking about Prototype 3.
I mean, there's many under it. It's really fascinating. Like, I think a lot of people forget, like, they now own literally MLG, and they own like most of the esports games that they have now with like under Microsoft, Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard. They also own like almost every type of IP, like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Banjo Kazooie, and Oldham. And if they buy Sega in the future, then that would just add to it with Sonic. But what I'm really hoping for is that they revive the Tony Hawk and Guitar Hero franchise. That would be nice.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, K Dot. Again, you're amazing. Take care. Have a great one, and we will talk later.
Got it. You guys have a great stream.
Thank you. So,
oh wait, he said great. He said great stream, not great day. God damn it! Why did I say YouTube? Fuck.
Well, I mean, you don't know. He might be leaving his stream. You never know.
God, it's like at the movie theater. Enjoy your show. You too. Wait, what the fuck?
I've done that so many times.
Feeling you. Okay, so I was saying pacing, showing stuff we already know about the main character. I didn't give a crap. I was like, yo, I already have seen like that scene like 4 times so far. It's like, bro, move on, please. Feels off that someone would root for the girl after all she did. It's very convenient, and it sends a message that you can get away with anything if you got a sad backstory. And that bothers me because I feel like these writers are like, oh yeah, that sad backstory, just like excuse everything. And this pisses me off. I'm someone that truly believes that yes, your story does affect you, but it doesn't make who you are. Like what I mean by there is you make choice, you take decision, and this show it feels like, oh yeah, your destiny is rigged, and I'm not on board with that. So these are my dislikes. People not forgiving the trailer was enjoyable. The lore was entertaining. I admit the villain are well fleshed out. I still hope the writer are aware their villain fleshing out. The non-binary character was also cool. So I still don't know any of their names, and I don't care about their names. I don't care about any of these characters. Yeah, that's my positive, even if I sound very negative. It's not the worst episode we got so far. We got a lot going on, and I feel like the story did progress a lot. Um, So yeah, I think this episode is probably in my top three most likely. One of the best ones. Much better than the first three. Anyway, I will let Gray move on now with the sixth episode and your own opinion on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I said this every single week, but yeah, I totally was not expecting to like this show. I just thought like this is going to be, I essentially thought it was going to be like The Boys season 2, which was really disappointing for me. I kind of thought it would be on that level, and it keeps really interesting me. It keeps not I keep not anticipating exactly where they're going with it. I think I have an idea, and then there seems to be like a right turn or something in there. So it's really caught my attention like way more than I thought it would. Um, that being said, I think you're being a little harsh on it for a few things, Multi. So again, when you're saying that this one's telling, not showing, or whatever, um, I don't know, man. Like this showed a lot. Like the whole idea of being inside Kate's head and like having to relive other people's memories. I don't know. That whole thing kind of to me, like they could have just said, like, yeah, I was told by I can't remember the dude's name, but whatever that I'd get a TA position if I helped them out. So I did, but instead they kind of showed you that, and the fact that you could like see their past character with both of the non-binary characters talking to each other. I don't know. It was interesting. I thought it was a really fun way of showing that stuff instead of just telling. So I thought that was done really well, and the stakes were kind of super high in there. They just killed that one kid, or I guess 34-year-old dude. I can't remember that character's name, the dude in the bathrobe, but yeah, that was kind of interesting. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to ask K Dot because he was saying that essentially like it was Kate who was like controlling Golden Boy. I don't know. It might be, but like when you're in a dream, are you technically controlling like the other person? Like usually I'm having like a POV dream where it's like me. I guess like my subconscious is controlling the other person, but I don't know if I truly have control over it. And that's kind of what I viewed like the characters in this as, like her childhood friend. Like, yeah, at some level she probably has control over it, but I don't know. So that was kind of the thing. Like, I think it was just that personification, like your dream version of whoever confronting you. Like, hey, you cheated on, you cheated with my girlfriend. So when Golden Boy's like, kind of coming at him in that headspace. Yeah, I mean, I guess Kate would be in charge of that, but I'm not sure that she was necessarily using him as her weapon to do that. I think it's kind of more like a dream, but maybe I'm interpreting that incorrectly. But yeah, like Kate I was mentioning with Golden Boy, it seems like he might have had the potential to be like stronger than Homelander, apparently, from what they were saying. But it seems like they were juicing him with something. And then I'm not sure exactly what the transfusions between him and Sam were, but that seemed to be doing something to it as well. So perhaps those transfusions had something to do with the mind control not working. I'm assuming it's going to kind of explain that in a bit. But yeah, sorry, there was a couple other things. Oh, right. So Multi, you said that you kind of had an issue with the fact that there's basically sex in the show. I don't know. Like these characters just went through something traumatic. They're teens. They're in college. It's like I think it's gonna happen. It's two
I feel like
characters
they
at one
obsess
time.
over
This
it.
episode.
Like every week, there's something like that going on, and
So what? Like once a month is good. So every
no,
4
like
episodes or something.
it's pointless. Let's be honest. That part was the least interesting part of the
I
episode.
don't know, man. I was entertained. Like, so not only do you get that whole like, it's kind of a trope, like, a more experienced person with a very inexperienced person, but then to add the puppet thing in there, I don't know. It's not just to show sex. It was like, okay, so here's another way that you could have like a sex scene, but in a different way. And then there were like homages to Titanic in there and a couple other things as well. I don't know, man. I don't think it was superfluous, and I think it was done well. So I don't know. I don't have an issue with it, but I could definitely understand, if you're not into it, like, okay, it could take you out of it. But I just think it's unreasonable to think that like teens would not be having sex.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they wouldn't be having
that's
it.
expected from the show,
It's
though.
it
This
it, it, it
premise.
feels like everything is about that. Like when it comes to these characters, they are
Well, not
diminished into
everything,
like
but
just
I
all
mean
being all
that
orny. Like
happens.
Did you ever like live in a dorm like in college or like visit like college dorms, man? Like I swear, like
this,
people were
no.
just hooking up left and right.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, we didn't experience the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you grew up
Yeah,
in Quebec, right? Multi.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
We
this
don't
stuff. I
like
mean,
sleep around like
it's not
that
that
here.
like everything's about it in this show, but I mean,
I
at
feel
this
like that's
age,
a
and
character trait every single character
well, look
share.
at this age, and with people in like college and stuff, and especially with characters like
and
this that have like powers and everything. I mean, and with this
they're also
premise,
at
I
peak
mean,
hormones.
yeah,
Like
it's bound to happen a
if their
lot.
powers are coming on peak like that, I'm assuming like their hormones would be even more
Yes,
raging than an
exactly.
average
That and
man.
that's like kind of like the premise of the show, basically, as well. And you know, you can do it like well, where it's not just like annoying or boring. Like that was actually a topic some people brought up online. Not this, but just in general, some people have like tried saying there's absolutely no point of sex scenes in movies, and they're all boring, and none of them can be artistic. It's like, okay, that's wrong. Go like two of the best examples. I don't know if you see them, Gray. Uh, they're both like Asian films, like Korean and Japanese. Audition uh,
Yep, I
and
own that one on
Old
DVD. I
Boy
love that one.
and Old Boy.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love the
Yeah,
original one of that too.
like those are the two
Spike Lee's one is
examples.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure, and I think it adds to it. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think
Also,
that
no
necessarily like
spoilers, by the
detracts
way,
from
because
it.
he hasn't seen them. But you know,
Hmm. Ooh, you should, man.
yeah, we will
If you
eventually.
have a problem with horror movies, you might want to see those. They're a little different.
Yeah, you would have to find a dub for him though.
Yeah, I'm not reading through a movie with subtitle. I used to be into anime
It's
and
so
read
worth it, though.
subtitle until I realized you can find dubs of animes. I really hate reading subtitle the entire time. It's just not my thing.
Mhm.
It's not for me to being taken out of a movie if there's like too much of that.
Uh,
Like a few times here and
It's
there,
so worth it, though, man. Like it puts you in this world. Like
yes,
it, they are.
yeah. Like for me with
It's pretty awesome,
subtitle
man.
films, I mean, when films like aren't speaking English, it doesn't take me out of it because, like you know, again, if you're, you know, once you get the hang of it, you'll read the subtitles like faster than the characters will be finished with like the lines and the scenes, so you'll still be able to absorb it, or and you know, look at the scenes and everything. It's like you won't be looking down the whole time. You can do both at the same time once you just get the hang of it. It's not too challenging. You just have to like kind of start out and do it for a little while, and you'll get the hang of it, and it's not like tiring or like difficult at all or stressful. And also, after you're done watching the film, when you go back and think about it, you won't even think about it of like you reading subtitles or them speaking another language. It's like the subtitles of like the dialogue with the sounds of their voices. Well, then it's like those in your mind when you think back on it, like they're speaking English, and you can understand perfectly.
I like to have my focus at the right place, and I
Yeah,
feel like with
again, I
subtitles for
understand,
me,
but also some people
just can't.
aren't as fast readers, or there are people who have difficulties like reading fast, or reading disabilities in general. Like I know there's people in the community, you know, like that. Like you know, if they could read
For
subtitles
sure.
and they could, but they can't. You know, so they had to do it for stuff like
And
Squid Game, and they really hated it because the dub for it
yeah,
sucked. They even admitted it.
and I don't want to be like I'm giving you crap or anything like that. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could definitely not read a film in French or Spanish or any other language. I'm only doing the one here, so I don't know. Perhaps it is definitely different. I don't know. I'm still in awe
Yeah,
of like anyone who
for
could do
sure.
multi
Like
languages.
he's you know learn multiple languages, so that you know is something else as well. But yeah, yeah, we're not giving crap or anything. Just like again, more so, I guess you'd say, Gray. You're
It's
just
just such an
yeah,
experience,
you're
man.
just
It's so
sharing your
worth it.
views on how you like think of cinema.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I'm not offended easy. Like it's really hard to offend me. That's all I gotta say.
okay, I'll
And
try
and
harder.
and I will add a bit of a tangent there because I kind of forgot mention it like behind the scene or even early in the stream. That's funny how some people you talk about in your Be Honest podcast, that's funny how they are like, oh yeah, associate with him, be cautious, be aware. I'm like, bro, I'm watching your content. Why do you bring him up? Like, I don't care about their drama between you and them. You do your thing. I do my thing. Like, it's like, bro, I wanted to bring that because that's funny, you know. And it's a tangent, it's off
Yeah.
topic, but I just think it's funny
Some
how
people get
they.
into that tribalism thing, man. I like that we're not doing that here. Like we can disagree, but it's not like the end of the world.
Yeah, and I just
You
find
get
that
it like
funny.
Texas Chainsaw. Fuck you. All right. This is gonna be
Like-
our last stream together.
Yeah, I mean it is unforgivable, but
It's like and I think that's perfect to bring that kind of tangent because, as I said, I'm really hard to offend. I disagree with a lot of people. I
Yeah, well,
still find it
yeah.
entertaining
I
to
mean,
try
there's
to
some
get
people
along.
who take it like way too seriously, but for the most part, though, like the majority of people in like heavy debates with like, or just like conversations with like films and stuff that have disagreements, like I don't, outside of some people who definitely have issues, I don't think I've ever experienced it actually being like hateful, negative, or anything like that. Like, it's just like passion, and I don't know how to explain it, but like, I mean, if you watch like this, documentary on like Roger Ebert or something, or knew about the stuff with him, Siskel and Ebert, you kind of get it, but kind of sums it up perfectly. But yeah, like I don't think there's rarely ever like any people debating films where ever negative. It's like it's almost like this like traditional like special kind of talk where it's like as an outsider perspective it might look negative, but neither of the two people talking and arguing think of it as negative at all.
for sure.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways you can like interpret a film too. That
Mhm.
it's I don't know. It would be hard to say like this is the only correct way. But,
Yeah. Like, there's multiple ways
It's
to
art.
critique Birth of the Nation.
It's art.
Exactly.
And because it's art, we cannot be 100% objective.
Yeah.
We can point out to flaws, and if a lot of people do agree on some of the flaws, maybe these are actual flaws because a lot of people see these flaws, but it's still art. Like you base it on
Yeah.
how you view it. Like when I review something, most of the time I look at the character, the story, and what I really review is like, oh, do I enjoy the story and the characters? And for me, like the technical aspect that is valued and that could be the most objective aspect, I don't really look at it. Except when it's really bad. Sometimes I'm like, bruh, the editing sucks, and I see it. Then I cannot like disregard it. But like my focus is really like the story and the characters. That's why a lot of shows and movies we tend to cover get away with stuff because I don't necessarily look at these technical aspect. And that's also why it's interesting to talk about it because Cole has that more technical aspect approach on things that I find amazing. Anyway, I think that's enough for that small tangent. Great. Do you have more to say about this sixth
Yeah,
episode?
just like one last part. I'm going to try harder to offend you. Your take on Kate as being non-redeemable. I don't know about that, man. So I can't remember what age she was when she accidentally got her brother to like walk into the woods. But that's when her mom stopped touching her. And like, if you notice, like that door that I think her name's like Shetty has to come in when she does the interview. She literally hasn't been touched or hasn't been hugged or anything like that for I think it's like 5 years, they say, and she's locked behind that like 3-inch or 4-inch thick like steel door, the same kind that they have in the woods down there under the school. I don't know. She seems like she's been super deprived of, like any interaction, any emotion. And then this person is willing to give her some of that. And then, not only that, but they are stroking her ego, telling her, you are meant to be this, you are helping us out. I think it would be kind of easy for somebody to fall into that path. I don't know that that would necessarily make them 100% irredeemable. Like, that's kind of what the whole episode was about. It was showing that there isn't one of these kids that's like a good person through and through. They all made mistakes. They all made really horrible choices that hurt their friends. Um, I don't know. I don't think any of them are not necessarily redeemable at this point.
So you don't
I don't know. Is there something that puts her beyond the pale where, like,
you don't really
supposedly if you take what's her name's story correct, like in that memory inside Kate's head, perhaps she did intentionally like try and she was mad at her parents, so that's why her powers like unleashed on them. Is she redeemable but Kate's not?
Well, I will say this. Thanks for sharing your concern on that. I will say this. When I feel like she's unredeemable, it's mainly because I don't trust the writer. It would be very hard to redeem that character. And I don't
For sure.
think they have the firepower in terms of writing to make her redeemable. And I've seen many shows, right, and many movies, just like you, just like Cole, and most of the time, what I really look forward is character arc, and when it comes to villain, if they can be redeemed, and I will
Hmm.
bring two example that I respect a lot, because this is from two TV shows I really like, and we covered both on the podcast in the past. Arrow is a great example. We had uh, two villain in that show that got in like a few episodes of redemption, like one specific character. I don't really spoil it because maybe eventually you will give a second chance to the show, because you should. But one of the two
I've heard that a
character,
lot.
one of the two
I
character,
probably should.
one of the two character
Sorry, man.
I'm thinking about is um, someone that was a villain, and that character worked through their issues for many episodes, and by the end of that redemption arc, you could really tell the change within that character, because they really challenged that character belief and way of doing stuff many times around throughout that character arc. And that character did really awful thing, but they
Hmm.
redeemed that character, and it felt earned, it felt well written. And the other example is in Stargirl, we had one of the supporting villain of the show that was, well, actually Supergirl, Stargirl, I mean Stargirl, I just mixed up things, but Stargirl had many example of character with a redemption arc that are well written. um it's just that you need the firepower to do it. You need to understand your character, and you cannot redeem a character that you don't consider like a villain. You can only redeem a villain, like an anti-hero. It's harder. Like, you can make that anti-hero turn like hero, but you won't feel the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's much more something you can notice when it's a full-on villain that turns good than someone that was on that gray area. And
Was she not one of the biggest villains this season? Like, I'm not saying that I have confidence in the writers that they're going to push it off or pull it off, but it seems to be two big bads. Like, you got Shetty or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and then
she
below her was Kate.
she feels like one of these full-on villain. She feels like that. She is a villain for me, and it will be hard to redeem her, even if it's like there's all of these ingredients you can use and give her a good redemption arc. I i just don't think they realize that she is a full-on villain. I think they're like, oh, she is more like, if that victim. She's on that sphere, and if they approach that character on a way where she's a victim and not a villain, they cannot redeem her, because she won't really have meaningful growth. She won't really change, because that's not her fault. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I'm not sure if I quite follow you down that route, just because again, it's not like she really had human interaction or anything like that. And then this person is now paying her actual attention, like actually hugging her, showing her that she's not afraid. Like that's the only thing she's experienced for like her childhood. And then this person is trying to, shape her career. Like I can't remember what she was originally in, but then she switched to like essentially like to be a PR person for Golden Boy. I don't know. Like, it seems like she was kind of being groomed to go down a path. I don't know that that necessarily is a villain, but it's like the one bit of attention and the one person who is like helping guide you wasn't doing it for the right reasons. I don't know that that necessarily makes you bad. Same thing with like, the non-binary one. I don't know that she was necessarily like trying to be bad or anything like that. She thought she was helping out the guy who was helping move Golden Boy to be like the next Homelander. I don't know. I think there is redemption there, and then same thing for, is it Marie, the main one with the blood powers or whatever? Again, like I
She's
don't
not.
think she intended.
I think Mary is
No,
not
but
necessarily a villain. She is a very great character. She's not really a hero, but she's not a villain. Mary, like,
well,
um,
well, she did seem under threat or was whatever, and then like her parents got taken out. Again, she didn't have control over her powers or anything like that. But there's been a few other things that were kind of similar to that. She seems really powerful. That whole Golden Boy thing, like, I don't know, are his powers that he can just explode, or was it the fact that she felt in danger that he suddenly exploded from the blood that was in him? Like, I don't know. There's some questions that I do have. There's some questions that still remain from like those first few episodes. But yeah, it kind of shows me that like Kate and Marie or whatever are really powerful. And with this whole like threat of the virus thing, it seems like both of them are going to be like pivotal characters going forward. So no, I'm just really interested to see where they go with it. But there's definitely a chance that they could fumble it. But so far, they've really caught my attention.
yeah. As I mentioned, like, I think just like human being, if every character and every person can be redeemable, but you need to find what's wrong. And as long as you're playing victim, you cannot find what's wrong. And this applies to writers. Like, um, if the writers don't really understand their character well enough, how can they redeem them? That's how I picture it and place it. And they go so deep in the nuance that I feel like they most likely maybe they lose themselves and do all of these nuance and gray area, because I just don't think so far these writers proved me that they were competent. But maybe I'm too harsh on that department. We will see how the season ends, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the season most of characters didn't really change. I feel like so far they didn't really change that much. Maybe Kate changed if next week she realizes that she is like not really that victim and she can do better and be better. But I feel like these characters were on some kind of stalemate so far, and they didn't get much growth outside of, oh yeah, here's their backstory and let's develop that backstory. But yeah, we will see how it goes. So yeah, do you have more to add? Guri.
Sorry, my dog was barking, so I just stepped away for a second. I didn't have too much more to add. Just yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised each week, and I'm actually looking forward to it now. So yeah.
My bad there.
And as I said, Gray, I'm really hard to offend. So even if you challenge me, I'm not offended at all.
You should be offended, all right?
We are having discussion. I've at no point our streams we do. I don't consider them as
No,
debate.
this is life and death, all right? You need to fight to the death. All right?
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
yeah, that was faster than I thought. I had to do something quickly, but anyway, as I said in chat, though, for done, 6.5, I'd give this episode. Like, for me, the show, it's been solid. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's like excellent. Like The Boys, season 2 was a bit, but I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. it was not great. I didn't have an issue with the political stuff. It was just weaker character wise and everything. Outside of maybe the first episode and such. But yeah, I just think this is like more in the middle for like a show. That's all.
For me, this episode is a 6.5, and I look at my notes. It's actually my second favorite episode so far. I still don't really like any of these characters. I think the characterization is not that great in this show. Like, I can't name anyone, and I can't say like any meaningful trait about them outside of Mary had ambition and she wanted to
Yeah.
be a hero to change her sister view of her.
Well, this is what I'll say, Multi. Going into the show, this was another thing that I think was expected with the premise and everything, and also knowing the boys universe. Usually, when somebody has powers, in the universe, then yeah, I would assume they're not the nicest people. Maybe like a little ego, at least in the beginning when they're younger, and then they mature over time. So I think this was like expected because this is kind of like a lot of characters, probably in this universe like this. But so I think it makes sense if like a lot majority of the characters aren't really like characters you can connect with as much or like root for. But you can still make it like invest in and enjoyable and care about watching them and like what happens, which other shows have done well at, and the boys has as well with the characters that you don't really root for or care as much about.
Like
Well,
season one, bro. Season one is a
yeah,
masterpiece,
yeah. But
and
once
even
again, though,
season
there's
two.
issues with this, so that really like makes it not as investing for me or to care about certain things.
Even with season two, that was a weaker season, and three as well. They're in the same bandwagon for different reasons, but even with these two reasons, I still cared about the characters. I thought the execution was piss poor, so the show wasn't that great, but I still cared about these characters and the story. With Gen V, I just can't. I just can't. I don't connect with anything with this show. I don't think I was the target audience, to be honest.
Yeah, well, this is for again a coming of age thing, but still, there's a lot of coming of age films love. Like we just watched one last week, which me and Gray love, and there's many others as well. Like actually, Gray, did you ever see that eighth grade film with by Bo Burnham? Like,
I didn't. I've really wanted to.
oh,
It's been on my
really
list
need
forever.
to.
I need to. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's another example. But yeah, this is just one that, in my opinion, it doesn't do the best job with the writing and direction to really like, and the tone of it to make you as invested in the characters. Like it's fine if you don't relate to any of them or care about any of them like morally or anything or anything like that or what happens, but you can still make it enjoyable and invest in though, and it works. Especially with the premise because that's kind of expected. Honestly, going into this, that like the majority of them, if not all, would be at least a bit of assholes each. But this again, they didn't do the best job with this one. Really, just does just like feel like they got their secondary team to write this show instead of their primary.
Yeah, so what would be your grade out of 10, Gray, for episode 6?
Well, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. It's not the best one that they've had
Nice.
so far, but I don't know. It's interesting me. I think definitely the B team wrote season 2 of The Boys, but I don't know. I think this is something a little bit better than that. So I don't know. I hope it's a completely different team. I'm kind of liking where they're going, but yeah, the finale will tell us whether they're going to drop the ball or not. I hope they can make the arc on all these characters good and kind of redeem them.
Yeah. So I guess now we are done. We are done with Gen V episode 6.
Yeah.
Coming next, we got the second Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. Also, I did want to ask Gray, how many of these topics have you seen this week?
So the first three I haven't seen, but everything else I have.
Okay.
So
yeah,
the first three in the Discord chat, basically.
Oh, I think yeah,
Yes.
I think that was
Yeah.
I have it right here. It was I believe Inhumans, Preacher season 4, and then I think the other one actually we
Black
aren't doing this
Mirror.
week. It was like
Oh, okay, sweet.
Doom Patrol
Yeah, because I
or
think I've seen
something.
those, but I didn't go back and check, so I
Yeah,
did
actually,
not.
did you see the Black
I
Mirror
didn't feel comfortable
episodes?
reviewing.
I've only seen
So
one
I
Black
think I
Mirror.
have. I want to say I have, but I can't remember it for the life of me. From those titles, I didn't recognize it.
Oh, okay. How many of the episodes did you see, Multi?
Only one because these
Okay,
are
yeah,
so
that's
long.
fine.
1 hour,
Yeah,
bro. It's like
yeah. Again, the episodes are pretty long in this season, but again,
I'm
that's
not saying
fine.
it's bad. It's just it takes up a lot
Oh
of
yeah, no,
energy for me.
I know. It's
It
almost like
drains
watching a
me.
movie, but
Yeah.
it's fine because again, just like any that we have left over that aren't on the schedule for those weeks, Black Mirror, that are left for the seasons, we'll just add that with Ash versus Evil Dead and Doom Patrol season 4 and others at like the very end in December or January, right before we do the MCU stuff.
Yeah. Right now I try to get my timestamp right with my phone. But yeah, so only the first three you have missed. So basically you have seen every movie, which is great. Here
Yeah,
again, Gray, you have seen so many movies. That's amazing. That's just amazing.
I've
I
wasted a lot of time, but I
yep.
enjoy them.
So the second Texas Massacre. What did you think of it? You're the first one to go on that one.
Well, it is a really interesting tone. So he was going for more of a very dark comedy with this. Again, it is Toby Hooper, so it is the same dude who did the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it's just so different. But again, it gives you some really iconic characters. Like Chop Top is just, if it
Yeah.
wasn't for him, you wouldn't have a lot of the, like Rob Zombie ones. I don't know.
Hmm.
It seems like his
Yes, he
characters
inspired so
definitely.
many characters. He is just iconic, and
Hmm.
you know what's sad? The character is gonna supposed to blow up like Leatherface. They were originally going to make a solo film for him, Chop Top, and they
Wow.
did.
Hmm.
They did, but they never released it. It's shelved somewhere in fucking whatever Toby Hooper's like abandoned storage or anything. But yeah, it was never released. It was never completed, which sucks. But yeah, such an interesting character, and just especially the
For
practical
sure.
effects and everything, the makeup.
Yeah, that plate and the whole like burning hanger thing. I don't know. It's really iconic. I guess the whole teeth thing too. Just everything about it, like his whole mannerisms. Um, I guess he's actually supposed to be twins with the hitchhiker from the first movie.
Yeah.
And the body that's on the truck that you see them waving around, and then the person that he's dancing with at the end, that is actually his twin brother, supposedly in canon.
Mm.
So that's kind of interesting to think that Chop Top is twin brothers with that hitchhiker guy.
Yeah. It's
But
ironic
yeah,
though because that actor who played the hitchhiker, he's like the only one left alive in like the cast from Texas Chainsaw.
I mean, it was like 50 years ago, but still,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah,
the
that
guy
is
who
kind
played
of.
Leatherface and the main lead actress, they only died, I think, in like 2015 or something. But yeah.
Yeah, but it is such an interesting film, and yeah, supposedly Lefty, Dennis Hopper, his character is I can't remember if he's the uncle of two of the characters, but he's related to two of them, two of the kids from the first one. So he's getting vengeance, and he's the only one who kind of sees these connections. That's such an interesting character, and then just the way that they make him obsessed with like a longer chainsaw, and then he must duel them with chainsaws. There's some interesting things that you got to kind of suspend your disbelief on, but I don't know. There's just so many fun elements of
Oh yeah.
this. Like it's almost like the first podcasting too. I mean, I guess it is just a live radio thing from the fair, but I don't know. It's so interesting. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's a weird slice in time.
It
But
is, and
yeah, the
I
whole
love it. It's so creative and unique.
it,
Like this is
it is
basically his
different.
Gremlins 2.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I think it's very similar to Gremlins 2 in that I think it was like 12 years after again, or like close to a decade after. You get a lot of more whatever you'd call it, perspective on it, and perhaps you can joke at your previous work. But just so many interesting scenes in this. There are, and the whole like abandoned carnival or something being like their whole hideout is just kind of perfect. Again, the set decoration in this is just like amazing. I know it's not the exact same people, but yeah, it's just it sets up an entire like vibe. It's really impressive what they're doing with this thing, but again, it's just so over the top and so different. They are willing to show a little bit more of the I don't know, violence or whatever, like that super annoying dude at the beginning, where I guess he doesn't actually get hurt, the driver does. But it just kind of sets it up that it's going to be different from the other film, but in such an odd way. It's not where I thought they would have gone from, that original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But yeah, there's just so many iconic characters in this, and then the way that Leatherface is portrayed too, where he's like kind of sympathetic and kind of lovesick. It's completely different from Gunner's version of Leatherface, and then also completely different from any future one. It's just kind of interesting. Like he even lies to Chop Top to say like, "Yeah, I already killed her." I don't know. It's interesting. It's not exactly what I would have thought I'd want in a Texas Chainsaw sequel, but it's just so over the top. It's like perfect for me. So I don't know. I just absolutely love it. There are a couple things that are kind of interesting, or I don't think done well. I don't know if they needed to essentially recreate the entire dinner scene all over again, but I don't know. I don't hate it. The makeup is definitely better on the grandfather
At
this
least they have
time.
air conditioner in that place. Yeah.
But I don't know. It is kind of one of the more least interesting parts of it. But yeah, it's just so over the top. I'm interested to hear what Multi's going to say because I got a feeling he doesn't cherish it quite as much
Well,
as I do.
he told me in DMs he preferred this one though. That's all I know.
I could see that.
However, he did give the other
pacing
one.
is a little bit faster.
Yeah, and it's comedic, but he did give the first one a 6.5, so it could just also be like a 7, which to him is average. So doesn't mean he'll think it's great, but he did at least think it's better. But yeah, I mean, you pretty much said everything I was gonna say, but I'll just like add a bit more to it. Just I just love how also he decided to up the scale with like having so many like disgustingly violent scenes in this as well with like certain things. Especially with the more resources they have, like fuck that scene where cut the guy's face off live. Holy fuck! Yeah, that was great. Yeah, again, love how over the top it is. Love the comedy in it. Love the characters. I love how different it is. And yeah, I don't know if you like heard us talking while you were gone for a bit, Multi. But yeah, this is basically like Gremlins 2, kind of his version of it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's really well made, well acted, and everything. And yeah, it was also kind of have to agree with Great. It's basically like probably inspired like all of Rob Zombie's films. So there we go. But anyway, you can go Multi, I guess.
So, just like what I told you in DMs, I actually like that one a lot more than the first one. It's no perfection. It's not perfect. My first issue would be the girl not trying to escape after the guy entered the room. She just waited to get deleted, looking at him like that. Delete me, please. The humor didn't age well, but I mentioned that only like at some point because I still think more joke landed than others that didn't land. It's really in the minority, but it's still something I'd like to share. Like sometimes yes, I had laughed, but others I'm like, meh, it's not good enough. Um, Next up would be plot convenience: the girl finding the old by accident only to fall in it. That was like satire like 1000. I was like, man, that's stupid. That's when like I'm out of it. Anyway, these are my issues. So I got less issues than the first one. Um, there's a lot of things I actually enjoyed. The eccentric shooter is already likable. The entertaining opening sequence, the crime scene, the journalist is entertaining. The cop is cool. The music was good. The scene with the nutcase was really entertaining. The acting and direction were well made. I admit they did try to flesh out the guy with the mask and the chainsaw. I like that aspect a lot. I was like, oh, he's more than just a joke. Um, the big action piece by the end was very entertaining and over the top, as I said. But hey, that's the 80s, so that kind of stuff happens. The chainsaw fight was cool. The music, and I like that movie a lot more than the first one. I don't have much more to say there. I was entertained, and that was a better movie than the first one. For me, that's the 8 out of 10. What
Wow.
about you, Gray?
I think I'd put it about the same, maybe 8.5. I like it for completely different reasons than the first one, but yeah, they both definitely have a place in my heart. But curiosity, I thought you had kind of a problem with the chainsaw from the first one, like the guy being slow or whatever. But no issue with like I'm gonna go fight this Leatherface guy, so let me grab my own chainsaw. Like, doesn't it?
I
It seem
was
a
like,
little
that's a
unrealistic
parody.
to.
That's a parody.
Okay,
Like
fair enough.
I thought that movie was a parody, and the other one was more serious.
Oh yeah, it is a dark comedy. It is like also joking about it, sort of, and up in scale as well.
And the tone of that movie is very different from the other. That's how I perceived it. Uh, Maybe I misread one of the two, but that was entertaining. That one I thought was entertaining, and I had less issues. So yeah, I just thought that that's a better movie. Um, what about you, Cole? What would be your grade out of 10?
I'd probably give us like a 7.5. Yeah, again, for me, the unlike multi, like a seven's average. For me, that's great.
For me, 8 is like good. If it's like 8.5, it's like great. Like point 0.5 are a huge gap for me. But yeah, that was a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, so except if you guys would like to add more to this, I think we can move on to the next topic.
For sure.
Okay. So the next topic. Stream 3, right? Was it this week, Stream 3? Yes, I think that was this week.
The
That one.
masterpiece that is Scream 3. Yeah.
That one. Who wants to go first on that one?
I guess I could. I don't have a ton to say. So I really like Scream 1 and 2, and then came Scream 3.
Oh boy.
Supposedly we were going to get a different movie, and then like a month before it, Columbine happened, so it really kind of changed the direction of it. They didn't want to show any teens like involved in any murder or anything like that, so apparently it really changed it enough to even change the location of it. At the
Yeah.
same time, it kind of sticks with the meta of the whole like Scream thing, where like they're parodying horror movies. Well, now they're parodying a horror movie getting made. Like in a way, like it's kind of cool, and I guess I kind of like the set piece at the end where you basically go back to like the first movie. But
Yeah,
it's
I think it
really
could have
ineffective for me.
worked in a different film or
Yeah,
franchise. It could have worked, I think.
for
Yeah,
sure.
also, multi, this
It's really
happened a
fun.
lot. 9/11 changed a lot of films and shows. They changed up a lot. Like, holy hell.
Really?
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, it's like, do you know Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man? There was
What
a
was
trailer
that?
for it. Yes, there was a trailer for it of a scene in the film where
What was that
where
one?
it was guys robbing a place in a helicopter, and then they get caught in his web, and it's in between the twin towers. They had to remove it.
Ooh,
Yeah, there was so much stuff.
yeah.
Like there were films even where it's just like it's about like terrorisms and like taking down the twin towers. And oh my god, there's so many things that changed during 9/11 that they had to get rid of.
Okay.
And I mean, I guess with a series like this, you can say that like you're just playing off the tropes, like where they bring back Randy in tape form. I don't know. To me, it really didn't work, and it seems like a lot of them have kind of used this as a trope since then. But I don't know. To me, there's just a lot of lows. Like I like Wes Craven's cameo in Jay and Silent Bob, but I hate Jay and Silent Bob's cameo in this Wes Craven film.
Yeah, that was so
I don't know. There's
fucking
just so
off.
much wrong with it.
Jesus.
Um,
But not to
but yeah,
interrupt, but are there any other films that were affected by Columbine? Because I mentioned just that as a fun fact with 9/11. But
yeah.
outside of this, I don't remember any others after Columbine.
So there's I'm trying to think of what it was called. I know the director did this second film called Firecracker, but his first one was about a school shooting, and it happened just after, or he was releasing it just after Columbine, so it just completely killed that film. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of it, but I know it affected at least two of them. But yeah, it was. I know his got really. It was accepted at a whole bunch of festivals, and then when that happened, they immediately were saying like, "Nope, we will not show this in public." So, yeah, that's kind of tough. But yeah, with this one, I don't know. There's some good acting in it. I can't remember the character's name, but Paget Brewster, how she's playing like the fake Gail Weathers character. I thought her acting as Gail Weathers, and then like the one scene where they're like together, kind of playing off of each other. I thought that was good. There are like little elements in this that kind of shine. I always like seeing Patrick Warburton. I think he did a good job as the security guy, but overall, there's nothing redeeming in this. It's the worst killer for me, the worst reveal, the worst plot. So, yeah, I'm not very happy with this movie. That's it. That's about where I stand on it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, this was quite a special film for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, this was just bad. Once again, all these elements I think could have worked, just not for Scream. Yeah, unfortunate. Just the setting going away from Woodsboro into Hollywood just did not work. The cinematography and visuals and everything were just like sucks. It sucks. They ruined the style of it. It feels like nothing like the others with like what made them special. The camera work is also just mediocre as hell in this one. The setting of this, like they didn't do anything that creative with it either, outside of those moments, I guess. Yeah, and that fucking cameo. What the fuck was that? Whatever. Don't fucking do that again in Scream. Holy fuck. Yeah. Also, you know the one thing that really sucks about this film as well. Not just all these things, and also I keep forgetting the actress's name. Nev Campbell. I think I don't know. Is that her name? Uh, I think it is. Right. Yeah.
Yes, Nev Campbell.
Okay, but yeah, she was also not the best in this. I think she had like a lot going in her life at the time.
I think she was in the middle of like two films, like Drowning Mona and Party of Five. So I think they only had her for like 6 weeks for the whole film.
She also said like during Scream 3 and also Scream 4 that she didn't want her entire career to just be known as Scream, even though it is now. So she tried doing other things at the time and wasn't trying as hard with Scream 3 and Scream 4, I think. But anyway, the one thing that really fucking sucks about this, though, it makes it such a bad film. The killer in all the Scream films You know beforehand who the killer is. You've seen their character in the film before they're revealed. All right. In this
Yeah.
one, you don't know who you didn't even know who they were. It was some random person you didn't know existed beforehand. So
Well,
this
he's
is
in other
stupid.
scenes, but he's got glasses on.
God, it's just fucking dumb. And it also reminds me of like Glass Onion's attempts at being mysterious and shocking with its twists in the same way when it wasn't. Like that. God, that's Ryan Johnson in a nutshell. It's like he purposely hides things from the audience where it's impossible for them to figure out the mystery, and then he thinks it's, and then people call it brilliant writing or like mystery
No,
and
it's so
twist things.
smart because you didn't expect it, and the writer was supposed to be dumb, so it all makes sense.
Yep. There's a lot of good mystery movies that don't do that. They show it the whole time, unlike him, but whatever. Yeah, this was just bad. I'm sorry. This generic bad film, and it's really heartbreaking. This is like the only bad film in the franchise. At least maybe until we get to the remakes. Let's we'll wait for that. I guess. I don't think they're terrible films, but God, I don't understand why they have such big supporters. But anyway, it must be just like young audiences who didn't care about the originals. Just like the defenders of the new Star Wars films, like the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Anyway, what about you, Multi?
Well, I will sound crazy because I actually enjoyed that movie. Is it a masterpiece? No, it's not. Um, my first issue would be the former cop seeing the half dead guard dropping was stupid to come closer without calling the cops right away. Um, I can't remember what I refer to, um, but that was early in the movie. Next up would be I don't think it was well explained enough how the serial criminal knew where Sydney was since she went under the radar. Um, he just happens to know because the plot wants it to know. Um, Nobody calling the cops got on my nerve. I mean, they got cell phone. The guy getting hit by two bullets, but yet surviving. Instead of leaving and running away, the girls went after Ghostface. Plot armor on Ghostface. And these were my issues. Outside of that, I liked the opening scene. That was funny. The action sequence was entertaining. The girl working in the call center was fun. That's Sydney, I believe. The music, it was funny. The movie set was cool. Um, the reason why the girl doesn't make friend makes sense. The action in the studio was entertaining. The music was cool. I thought the humor landed for me. The girl connecting the dots was entertaining. The bodyguard getting deleted was entertaining. The studio seeing the movie breaks the fourth wall in a much better way than She-Hulk ever tried. The action sequence was entertaining. The backstory was entertaining. I don't have much more to say. Is it the best one? I can't remember what I gave the second and the first one, but I would be tempted to say if it's not my favorite, it's the second favorite. Since I don't have much more to say there, I will give my grade already 7 out of 10 for me. What about you, Cole?
Uh, I'll give it like a 3.
My, I sound crazy.
Wow. The little bit of disparity between you two. Actually,
Right
some of
and
Multi's comments kind of reminded me. I forgot about the stupid magic voice changer box that, we can't even do today, but somehow they were able to do that like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That just seems like such a plot contrivance. And then same thing with like Ghostface, like kind of appearing in like two places at once. Originally, there were supposed to be two different killers in this. They were actually well, if you believe the director or if you believe Matthew Lillard, the director is saying that Matthew Lillard's character from the first one was never supposed to come back, but Matthew Lillard is making the claim that he was actually paid for it, and then after Columbine, they just never got him back. So I don't know why he would say that he was paid for it. But supposedly one of the characters that they kill off was supposed to be a second killer in there. So I don't know. That would have explained some of Ghostface's like magical appearances in places, but yeah, with all that kind of adding up, it gets maybe like a 3.5 for me.
You know what would have been great though if they because it could have also explained it in the second film. They could have had it where the second killer was also a second killer in the second one who got away with it, and that's why there was that teleport and shit in some scenes in the second too.
Yeah, that would have made sense too. But
although they probably would have overdone it with like the two killers thing, because they also did it in the first Scream. So yeah, and we won't say, and we won't say how many did it with though, because that would be spoiling for multi. But yeah.
But there were some interesting things. Like they decided to highlight, like creepy producers and stuff, and like in a couple different ways in here. And Weinstein was one of them that produced this, so that's kind of an interesting little. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was the second killer.
Yeah, but
was a high WC.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. I don't know. So to me, maybe like 3.5 is the best I could give it. There are some fun aspects of it, but it's not.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a 3.5, but I was just like, no, this film doesn't deserve that 0.5 out of sympathy. Like I usually throw the 0.5 in there if like, because usually I give on this podcast, I usually like legitimately I give a film something like, if I really enjoy a film and I think it's great, I usually give it like a 7.5. But on this podcast, to some people, it might sound too low because they don't understand my scoring system. So I usually throw in the 0.5 or even an 8 sometimes, and then vice versa with other things. So I was like, nah, this doesn't deserve it, though. Let's just get into 3. Fuck that.
Okay. I guess coming next, we got Halloween 4, a masterpiece.
Yes, the made for TV masterpiece. No, okay, there were actually so many defenders of this film, though, who say it's like very good drama, horror thing, thriller, and an underrated thing, and that the franchise went downhill after this. Well, what I will say is this: it isn't like a garbage or terrible film, in my opinion. It isn't, at least compared to the older ones later on. Like, I don't think this is when the franchise really went downhill, but this is, in my opinion, a bad film, kind of, and it is where it really starts to drop off, and they really should have stopped. So I mean, so I guess I'll be going first since I already started, but
yeah,
I still enjoyed Dr. Loomis's character in this, and there are some ideas I don't mind, which felt a bit nostalgic and enjoyable at points, and with the ending. That's about it, though. The rest of it I could care less for. I thought this was bad. In the past, I thought it was at least, maybe below average watchable, but it's kind of just bad now. It somewhat works if you just want, like, a basic slasher, and, but the story and characters are all the same as the ones with Jamie Lee Curtis's character. This also took so long to make, and it shows. They faced many issues in the writing room and on set, apparently, after deciding to resurrect Michael Myers. The visuals are dull and bland. It's like a made-for-TV movie. It's boring throughout a lot of it. I had no interest. Now, there are a lot of people who actually try saying the acting's really good and the writing is actually very smart and well done. It's like, I don't see it. It's like at points, yes, especially with Dr. Loomis's character, I do understand some of it. And if you like don't go into it expecting as much of like a Halloween 1 film, but something a bit different. But it just doesn't work overall. It's just like they didn't quite have the resources for it. They really didn't, and it shows. And I don't think it was just executed well at all. It was really just, not good. And I'm not a fan of some of the choices they made as well with the music and such. But yeah, that's about it. I will have to say. You want to go next? Small theaters, Gray want to?
I think I will go next.
Okay.
So that's very funny I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I think only based on what I remember from 1 and 2 and even 3, I think this is actually my favorite one. I may be wrong. I can't remember the exact number I gave to the others, but I had less issues than usual. I still have a few. Number one, too many character. Again, there we go with the horror trope where everyone is just there to get slaughtered. Hell yeah. I hate this shit. Next up would be pacing. The scene at school wasn't needed. Next up would be plot convenience. The guy just happening to bump into Michael Meyer on the plant by nighttime. And these are my only issues. Outside of that, I did enjoy the music. The doctor was cool. The PTSD was well written. The main character is likable. The cop talk taking weapons to stop Michael was entertaining. Michael Meyer going in a rampage was cool. The music was fun. The acting and direction were fine. Nothing impressive, nothing bad. Fight choreography was well made since it's the 80s. The action sequence was entertaining. People having a fight with Michael Meyer. The music. I think the music is the thing that stand out the most, and that's like a cheat code because the music was always a good thing about that franchise. So yeah, I don't have much more to say there. I like that movie more than I expected to like. So what did you think of it? Great.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of 4. It just seems like such a weird, like, plot contrivance that just, Michael Myers has been in a coma for 10 years and then he just magically wakes up while he's being transported from one to another. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that. That being said, I do love Dr. Loomis and that character. So it is awesome to see Donald Pleasance back again. I always like seeing that dude, but I don't know. It's just not a good film. A lot of it just completely is gone from my memory. It was definitely the only one of the 4 so far that I've had to like actually think, okay, which one was this? What scenes did it have in it? There's just not a ton that I remember about it, other than it's like I don't know. It like Cole was saying, it feels very like made for TV. I'm not sure if it was just like the technology, but it just looks like it was not a feature film. And then it's just so weird that because of Halloween 3, which I really like in a weird way. It's not like the first two, but because that was supposed to be the anthology and it didn't work out the way that they had anticipated, just this ghost film was completely scrapped, which was supposed to be Halloween 4, and instead they just brought Michael Myers back. To me, it's just I don't know. It's definitely a step down from the first two, and then even a couple of the later ones, it feels to me like this is a step down. Um, yeah, just my main critique on it would be it's completely forgettable, and you don't really need to know this. There's some fun stuff that you get to, know some of Donald Pleasance's character's backstory, Dr. Loomis, but other than that, there's not much that you really gain from this, in my opinion. So yeah, I just would say skip it.
That's funny because after hearing you talking about contrivance, I actually agree. And the movie got slightly worse for me, just slightly. I still think it's maybe my favorite or second favorite in that franchise. Anyway, do you have more to add before we move to the grade?
I don't.
That's funny how today, like, we didn't talk much because there's not much to say. Like Genevieve took almost an hour, and the rest is like 10 minutes. Boom,
Oh yeah,
next.
yeah. Well, we have a banger film next, right? Hopefully, Multi liked it, but I don't know. He didn't like Stand by Me by the same director.
So I guess now it's the right time for Halloween 4 score. What would be your score out of 10, starting with Cole?
This one I'll give the 0.5 for, but it's still bad. 3.5.
Okay. What about you, Gray?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I'd go 3.5 as well. It belongs in the series, but it's definitely the last one I'm going to watch.
Yeah, the rest
That's
from here is.
that's hilarious because I will sound crazy with my 7.5.
Hey, listen, I understand why you enjoy it, and this film has fans for the reasons you like, and people think the writing and acting is really good in this.
I
So
don't
yeah,
think it's perfect, but it made the job. That's how I see it. I
yeah.
wouldn't say it's great, but they did what they wanted to do. um,
It's,
Princess Bride.
yeah. Okay. So, but before we start, I just wanted to check one thing. Right. Okay. So, right. So we'll probably I mean, I'm sure Gray has seen all of them by the director, but we won't do them right away. Probably like next year sometime, maybe. But we'll probably do A Few Good Men. This is Spinal Tap, and When Harry Met Sally as well, because those are also like
Nice.
his. Those are
Yeah, he was
also
on
his
a
top
streak.
films. Yeah. After that, we probably won't cover the others. Like he did do other good films, but if we covered like every film that a director's ever done, then we would never have time to watch the other amazing ones from each director. So we'll probably stop at after that. Probably won't watch like the bucket list or flipped or anything. But yeah. But anyway, yeah. So Princess Bride. This is he same director who did Misery and Stand by Me, and yeah. Now there's a lot of kind of films in this type of genre. I know the most famous example is like the Never Ending Story, and some of them are more for children, other are more for adults, some of them in between. But yeah, this one I think is the one that really perfected that style of films, and it's just a classic. I saw this when I was 4. I didn't remember anything about it. Was the first time today, just like 5 hours ago, that I watched it again. And oh fuck, I thought it was excellent, personally. Yeah, I just think like this is the type of film, honestly, that in the first 5 minutes, yeah, you're a little bored. You're not expecting to get into it. So it's sort of like the character, he's reading it to the kid, but then afterward, you really love the world. I really love the characters and the humor. God, just I think it blends so well. So many great comedic moments that work perfectly, so like mock the genre of like fantasy and fairy tales and storytelling. And the acting, especially by Carrie Lewis, was great. Like again, if you remember him, he's the actor from the first Saw, and near the end of like the sixth one or whatever. If you remember that the guy with the blonde hair who sawed his leg off. Yeah, this and Saw are like the two films he's known for. Basically, everything else.
Men in Tights, though.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna mention that. Like 5 years after this film or something like that, he then made Men in Tights, which is kind of similar to this. It's like a parody of like Robin Hood. It's by Mel Brooks, so that's pretty funny. But yeah, yeah, and I really loved also just the breaking the fourth wall moments. And it was, God, especially that moment where the grandfather literally tells the kid, "Yes, you're very smart. Shut up now." Yeah, but yeah, I also just think each character is really compelling. Also, I know you don't watch professional wrestling at all, Malty, but you might have recognized that one guy though, because even people who don't kind of do. Andre the Giant,
Rest in peace.
really?
I didn't. I have no
Ah,
clue.
the Giant guy. Ah, well, he's very famous even for people who didn't watch it. Like he's probably the most famous like wrestler of all time, and yeah, Yeah, definitely, would recommend like just looking up his story. But yeah, that was pretty fun. But yeah, really enjoyed just like kind of like the comedic villains and everything, and the supporting characters as well in this. I really love the production and the fight stuff as well. Really loved the visuals of it, and I thought the writing was very smart in this as well. At a lot of moments, especially, and how they kind of play on a lot of things, especially like this scene where with like the poison in the fucking cups. I thought that was gold. But yeah, and let's see. Yeah. So this film, because I watched it just like 5 hours ago, or actually not even 5 hours ago, like 3 hours ago, right before we started the stream. I didn't really like write any notes down, so I don't have anything like else to like say that I wrote off of. But yeah, either way, I just really enjoyed the film. And yeah, probably Gray will talk more in depth about it. But yeah. Also, if you saw Deadpool 2, right, Gray?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you saw the joke they were making with it. Like it
I've
was
Yes.
also seen it,
Oh
but the
yeah,
backstory about seeing it is more interesting than the movie itself.
really.
That was at my friend's place, a friend I mentioned many times in the past. When I go to see him, we always listen to music, drink beer, and eat good food. And we usually watch one or two movies here and there.
Ah,
And I basically passed out in the middle of Deadpool 2. So I
well,
can't remember half of it.
well, there was a. You might have not gone into that part then, but there was some scene. I don't maybe. When was it in the film, Gray? Do you remember? Like near the beginning or something?
I can't quite
Yeah,
remember,
but okay, the actor who played the kid in this film back then, his name's Fred Savage. He was also in that film as also the grandson in Deadpool 2, but as an adult. So I think that, or they like you used like a scene from it or something. I don't remember, but God, I
yeah,
thought that was interesting.
it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
mean, you guys can
guess
go. Yeah.
I guess coming next, Gray. What did you think of Princess Bride?
I think it is just so iconic. It is a masterpiece. Almost every line is super quotable and has been put on some sort of merch or something out there. Like I'm trying to think like what would the most iconic line be, and it's so hard to come up with it. Like there's so many from Andre the Giant. There's so many from Inconceivable. Inigo Montoya. Like there's so many lines that are just iconic that they just really have stood the test of time. It's a really interesting story. So I don't know if you've ever like read the book on it or anything like that, but it's a completely different narrative. So like it does kind of have the story in the story, but the way that the story is being told is completely different. So the grandfather is telling it to his kid, and then that kid grows up and he starts telling it to his kid, but he realizes that his father like cut out all of the boring parts and just did it his way. So it's kind of him going through, and then there's notes in between as to like I'm cutting out this part. It's just kind of interesting, but he realized that there was no way to put that like into film. So when he started writing the screenplay for this, they had to come up with like a completely new kind of storytelling device or whatever, so that you could get to what that would actually, it just wouldn't translate to film. So the way that they ended up doing it was, the grandfather just telling the story to the kid. It is so, I don't know, every part of this is just so emotional and so heart tugging. I don't know exactly what you'd call this. Heart touching probably would be an actual phrase that people use. But
I usually say emotional, but that's just me.
fair enough. Maybe heartwarming. I don't know, just like every part about it, like every character's journey. I don't know, and every performance in this is so great. Like I don't know. Billy Crystal to me was unrecognizable as a kid, but to realize that that's who that character was just like amazing. You already mentioned Carrie Elwes, just always amazing. Robin Wright was amazing in this too. But you get like to the side characters, like again, Andre the Giant, like that character is just so iconic and everything that he says is just so damn quotable. And then you get to I can't even remember the character's name, but like you mentioned with the cups where he's obviously too smart for you. So I don't know. It was just it is amazing, and like you end up loving these weird side characters, and then also Mandy Patinkin, who is obsessed with finding the six-fingered man. Even the six-fingered man, like just everything about this works on so many different levels. The sets that they use for everything from the kids' room to every single part of this fantastical voyage. I don't know, I just can't say enough good about this. Like it really is like the fairy tale when I'm kind of thinking of like a children's fantasy story. Like this is kind of the one that comes to mind. Very iconic for me. So Multi, you got a different opinion than me?
I will have a virtual opinion on that movie. I did enjoy it. Most of it I did enjoy, but the kid and his grandfather were not needed. I was like, bruh, I'm invested on your main story. I don't give a crap about the other two. Like, just skip all these scenes. The movie still works.
Well, I honestly, to me though, they don't take up. They take up like barely any screen time. Honestly, I think like as a whole, they took up like 6 minutes of the entire film only. With all the
Yeah.
scenes combined, which is nothing. And you have to remember that it's sort of like they're there to because there's certain things that happen in the film that if they weren't there, then it would have been illogical. So they do it so it's logical, and also so that they make a joke out of it. But also they're also kind of there because with like what the audiences are feeling at certain times. Like they do a good job at like kind of depicting it throughout the film. Honestly, like at the beginning, they really depict it as the most generic story thing ever, where literally every audience just goes, "What the fuck?" at home, which is exactly how the kid acted in that scene. And then
Yeah, I think you're supposed to connect with him in that scene and kind of identify with like, oh,
yes,
come on.
yes, and then vice versa. So, I mean, I think it was needed, but even then, I mean, it was only like 6 minutes total, maybe even less.
I will say some of the humor didn't age well, and it's only some because I did laugh a lot throughout the movie. It's just sometimes like, oh yeah, it failed attempt to be funny for me. Uh, Pacing, more scene with the kid and his grandpa. More of the kid and his grandpa again. Stuff I don't care about. Now, there's a lot of good I did enjoy. The message about love was entertaining. The story was entertaining. Thought most of the humor did land, so I did laugh. The music was good. The fencing was cool. The fight was entertaining. The guy death was funny. Um, the princess showing how she cares deeply for the guy. Now, when I mentioned the guy's dead, that was like with the poison and stuff. I thought that was priceless. Um, the princess showing how she cares deeply for the guy was good. Um, the action was really fun. I admit the kid got growth, even if I didn't care about that part. I didn't care about some of the things he did care about earlier in the movie. Anyway, that was a movie. Um, Here again, I feel boring this week because I don't have much more to say. Um, Fine movie, not bad. Um, I think we can move to the grade out of 10 again. Um, so for me, that would be a 7.5 out of 10, which is like average for me. Um, what about you, Dre?
So this may be the nostalgia goggles speaking, but yeah, for me it's just like a straight up 10 out of 10. Every line is like quotable, like a lot of throwaway jokes in there are just so quotable. The actual like fight choreography is just like amazing, and then the fact that it is some fairy tale, but it doesn't just end with and happily ever after. Like characters are left bleeding. Characters, aren't necessarily just happy at the end of this. To me, it hits on so many different levels, but it still is that like heartwarming, tugging on the heartstrings, if you will, as well. So yeah, it just is kind of that perfect fairy tale movie for me without that formulaic ending.
Yeah, and many films tried this formula, but this one mastered it. For me, this is at least like I would say a 9.5.
Very well, very good. So I've heard like you maybe have seen some of Dark Mirror episode at some point. What did you think of the Dark Mirror TV show as an
Black
entire
Mirror.
show? Yeah, Black Mirror.
I
Um,
really liked it. I was like obsessed with it for a minute. I remember I binged a couple seasons of it, but I could not tell you what happened in like these episodes. Like I even kind of looked it up based on the title, and it's like I know I've seen it. I think there were like 6 episodes that season or something, but I couldn't tell you what happened in them. So unfortunately, it didn't stick with me. My overall feeling on Black Mirror, though, I really dug it. I liked the kind of Twilight Zone, Outer Limits kind of version of just looking at one aspect of technology. That's really cool, and I like the possible dark future from it. But there's few of them that have kind of stuck with me, unfortunately. Yeah, I can think of like 3 off the top of my head. I'd really have to kind of refresh myself on the others. So that's either my own failing that I don't remember much from, I think 2016 or whatever, or yeah, they just don't stick with you.
okay, very interesting. So now I am just double checking. We covered everything you have seen, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I had another blast this week. You're amazing. I'm always impressed about how many movie you have seen. It's great. So what do you have going on your channel?
Not much. Thinkers on Thursday on that darn kiddas channel, and then yeah, we're finally gonna put out our final episode on the Fandom Initiative on my channel. We're finally wrapping this all up and saying goodbye to them. I think we're doing that Friday afternoon. So yeah, that's about all I got going on this week.
I'm looking forward for it. I really enjoyed your covering of them, and it's coming from someone that did watch the initiative for a long time. I still watch sometimes here and there, and I think the way you approach stuff, like yes, you have a lens where you want to like debunk some of the stuff they do, and you want to point out like some of the flaws with it, but I gotta say, like, we need people out there to talk about stuff, like the initiative is needed to talk about uh the anti-woke crowd, and you were there to talk about them. So that's how I see it, but I'm looking forward for like what your show will become after that, because that's growth in itself. The fact that you've changed your mind that you need to focus on something else after next week, which is amazing. Props on that. You did reflect on stuff, and you didn't want like your thing to turn into just another initiative, and this is great. I respect a lot that part. So man, thank you very much again.
Thank you. Those are really kind words, and it's always fun to talk to you guys. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening.
Have a good one and take care. We will talk later.
All right.
Just like in the past.
Okay, so what do we have next? Right, we have Preacher and
We have
then
Black Mirror, episode
Right.
number 4. I think we
Okay.
can start with that one.
Yes, so let me just remember what episode that was. Season 4. It was season 4, episode 4, right?
Yeah, that was the one with
Okay.
the woman that likes other women. Um
Oh, okay. Wait, wasn't that a episode?
Well, that's the one I've seen
Oh, wait, hold on. That
with
was
the chip on their
yeah,
head,
yeah,
so
yeah. No,
they cannot
my
dream.
bad. That was episode. That was season 3. My bad. Episode season 3, episode 4, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, that was San Junipero. Yeah. Uh, yeah. This episode got a lot of praise. But yeah, this was I think when they started really using like big budgets for a lot of these episodes and trying to almost make them sort of like mini movies. I think you could really tell, but yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. It's not like my favorite Black Mirror episode. I do like others more, but I do think this was great. I did like the performances and characters in this. I do like the whole premise of it all. I think this is like kind of a premise that a lot of people have thought about in their heads as some sort of scenario in the world. But and I think that the things they explore with it, and like the benefits and the downsides of it, is really intriguing. And with other people in it, I think it's and in the real world too. And the way how they kind of like cut and pan away from that eventually. Like I think there's a lot of intriguing elements to this, and I do think it's well shot and everything, and technically, and I do like the music as well. And yeah, what did you think though?
I was entertained. I was surprised that the hour went very fast and not that much was going on. Um, so my issues are there. Pacing, one time. Pacing, two time. Too much telling instead of showing, three times. Too much telling instead of showing. Now I feel like there's a lot of things where they told you stuff about your actors and their lives that they did only to not cast more actors. That's how I feel.
Well, I mean, I'll say this though. I mean, this is is your issue with that like the backstory of the characters? They just said it instead of showing it.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
much.
I think I don't know. I kind of liked. I mean, once again, I wouldn't say it's telling instead of showing, but I kind of liked it though because again, I think the whole like first half of it, or even more, is the mystery element of it and trying to understand what's even going on. And then once you do, and then you learn about them and everything, like I think if they showed it, it would have taken away from it. And it's also in the perspective of kind of like that one character or both, kind of. So I think it's better off like that. And the way that the scenes were done with them telling the backstory is really authentic and very well done, I think, and very well written. So, and I think if there's just like some sort of scene where they showed some of that stuff instead, I think it would have been weaker. But also, they did at least like hint at it, like near the end. They basically like had a scene in the world where it kind of like is a reenactment of like what probably happened with her in the real world, but with the one character, the digital self or whatever.
Yeah.
So and I think that was a good artistic creative choice there. So for me, I don't have an issue with that, but I don't know. That's just me though.
So I mentioned my issues, but I got to say, we had a very entertaining bar sequence. The message about being authentic was cool and well executed. The girl being very different. The girl's self discovery was entertaining. The main character being used and feeling like she's being used. The girl deconstruction, the girl being sick. The relationship was enjoyable to witness. The endearing moment between both girls in the fake world. The reveal of the fake world was cool. The tragedy on the relationship collapsing. The girl relationship was amazing. The emotional sad death of the daughter was really cool. Um, I still like that episode a lot. Um, Despite my issues, I think that's a fun one, and yeah, it's not the deepest um episode of the show. It doesn't elevate many questions that Black Mirror tends to do, but I won't hold it against the episode because I tried to tell a different story, and that's fine. So yeah, I was entertained. I like that one. I don't have much more to say. I feel so boring this week, bro. Like, I think it will be one of our shortest edition in a long time.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but like again, I think again the reason why they were so long is the guests, but also again there were just some things where you're really passionate about and wrote down a lot of things they need to like dive into. There's other things where not so much, for better or for worse. Like the Princess Bride, I didn't have as much to say, both because I just watched it and didn't really like write down notes for it, but also because it's all kind of the same, but in not sometimes in a bad way, sometimes in a good way. That one in a good way, like all the compliments I gave with it quickly, like great comedic, quotable scene and everything, and good visuals. It's like that's every scene in the entire film. So so there's nothing like to say specifically like, or and there's also I didn't have like any backstory to rant about with that one. So
So I think this episode deserves a 8.5 out of 10.
yeah, that's the same. I would give it 8.5.
Wow. Your means different than mine, but that's funny how we have the same grade, even if it
Yeah.
means different things. Um, so I guess we are now moving on to the masterpiece that's Inhuman, the one and
Fuck.
only TV show everyone
Okay.
gotta
Yeah.
love.
So this one, I lost so many brain cells. Holy fuck. That yeah, I don't even know if I have much to say about this one because I just lost so many brain cells. But yeah, I don't know. It's just shit. This is terrible. What I will say is just the expectations were way too high, and that's another reason why the show failed. This was supposed to be like they called the quality of it like IMAX level quality, but for a TV show, and this was supposed to be at the time before they bought Fox and before Disney bought Fox and X Men. This was supposed to be their replacement for the X Men in the MCU, Inhumans, and they were supposed to have a bigger role in the MCU, and they did nothing with them though. I mean, there was like Black Bolt, who just like fucking yeah, what happened with him in Doctor Strange 2, whatever. Uh, but yeah, this was bad. Like the actors were really bad in this. The writing in this was really bad. Uh, the source material they really for the source material and the ambitions of it, like what they did in the comics and everything, for the production and budget that they then used it for, is insulting. It's like the Sandman, but yeah, and the action scenes weren't very good at all. Also, besides maybe Gorgons, I would say, especially with the acting though, Crystal, Medusa is just like really bad acting there. Holy fuck! Like yeah, uh, and
That's funny
also
because I agree with you with bad acting, but what's
yeah,
ironic there and hilarious, I actually forgot to mention it in my notes. But yeah, the
yeah,
acting was awful.
yeah, and also
Move on.
Maximus is more of a hero than they are. So and there, yeah, there's also this somebody who said in their review, I'm going to quote them actually. There's the fact that nobody is smart enough to give Black Bolt a device so he can text if separated. And it's like, yeah, why didn't they? Yeah.
The show is getting worse now.
Yeah, this was cheaply made, and this was rushed out by Marvel. Um, and then yeah, the fucking hell. Hold on 1 second. My screen went black for a moment. I'm just gonna fix that real quickly. It should be good now. Okay. Well, okay. This is 1 second. I'm gonna switch to something else, and this should fix it. Let me know. Actually, why did I say let me know as if you can help? Okay, there. It's fucking good now. Jesus Christ, I don't know what that was. But anyway, my bad there. But yeah, I already talked about the production value. It's like the concepts of this show are great, and with the comics and everything. But the production, it's like it was impossible to do anything. Also, the character of Medusa was nerfed to hell. So it's like
They basically took her power away,
useless.
bro. It's like, sister, why?
Yep. And then also, yeah, the main character couldn't talk. That's great. Yeah, Max. Also, the villain Maximus was just generic as fuck. And also the like while I will say in the comics, while the concepts were great, this is another thing though. The characters themselves in the Inhumans comics, they were always not great. They were always considered like C-listers or D-listers, even by fans. So the fact that Marvel put this show together, thinking that it would be a replacement for the X-Men, and then they tried to do it some shit again with like Eternals. It's like Guardians worked. Let's do it with Eternals. Fuck you. Anyway. Oh my god. And then yeah, this was the filmmaking was trash as well. The lighting was so bad. The set design looked like it was like there are moments where it looked like it looked like they were underground in a sewer system, or like there were cardboard boxes for some of their things they used, and Sharpie. Yeah, and the way it was shot was bad as well. The music was shit. Just I really hated this, and
I like the music, bro. Don't insult the music. That's the only good thing I like.
the music I didn't care for. I'm sorry, but yeah, Well, here's the thing. This is the best thing. This is the one compliment I'll give this show, though. Also, what's crazy? Actually, though, you know what's crazy? The creator of it, the showrunner, the main, the creator of it, the showrunner. He was the showrunner for all of Dexter, which is a very successful show.
Wait,
so,
what?
Yes, Dexter.
What?
Yeah.
I've seen Dexter, bro.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, he was also the showrunner for Iron Fist. So
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What the?
So maybe that was just a fluke. Who knows?
That's a fluke. But
Yeah.
did you know Dexter was based on a novel?
I didn't. I didn't actually finish Dexter yet. There's a lot of shows such as that and like Vikings and such that I just never finished. So I'll have to get back to them.
But
yeah,
I based on what I heard from the novel, they basically ruined everything by the end of the show. Like when the show went downhill, that's when they kind of destroyed the source of material.
yeah.
But
you know what's the best thing about this show, though? This is what I'll compliment it. All right. There's only one season.
Bro, that's harsh.
Anyway, so you can go next.
Okay, so the first issue, I can't believe I forgot to mention. The acting was disgusting. Like, bro, they took these people and say, "Oh, now you're an actor." Oh, am I? I thought I was crew. No, you're an actor now. Bruh. Fight choreography was bad. The pacing was horrendous. The dialogue was terrible. The lightning was awful, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that has seen it. The story has a lot of contrived parts. Characters aren't that great. Characters do the stuff plots wants them to do even if it doesn't make sense. Some characters are just bad plot device. This season was bad. And this is funny because a bit of backstory there. I actually had seen the show when it came out, and I was bored by it. I was like, bro, why is it so bad? And I was younger. I wasn't making that podcast. I wasn't a
Yeah.
critique.
Yeah, it
And
has as bad as reviews on like IMDb and shit as Gotham Knights. It has like a 4.9.
and I was just watching this, and I was like, why is it so bad? What's wrong with it? But I knew it was bad, and I didn't like it at all. Like, if you like this shit, bro, I I don't know how you can. Like, this is one of the few piece of art that is objectively bad. It's just I don't picture someone in their right mind saying, "Oh yeah, that was a good show." No,
Yeah.
bro.
No, it's unfortunate though. Like they could have just whatever. They could have you know done the James Gunn route. If they wanted to bring these characters in, don't try to have them as a fucking substitute for mutants. Even if you didn't have the X-Men at the time, just fucking do the James Gunn route and have them as supporting characters across the thing. That's what he did before. He showed a lot of love to D-listers in comic books in his films, and it was good. Like fucking hell, this was just bad. I would say, at least there was something that maybe came out of this. Black Bolt returning in Doctor Strange too, but then he just died in like 5 seconds. So
You know what's weird? The more we talk about it, the worse the show became, and I just dropped an entire point.
this is
But
complete garbage. Just give it like, just
um,
it should get no points, all right?
um, what would be your favorite episode?
Favorite episode? Okay, let me go on here and check. Once again, this week I forgot to do the episode thing, but let me try to check quickly and see what my favorite would be. But I don't even know if I have a favorite. Well, I don't have a favorite, but you should just say my least worst. All right. So yeah, I love how on IMDb it says top rated. Okay, it literally. Holy fuck! This is. You need to check this shit out. Hold up.
Screen
This
share,
show.
screen
This, no,
share,
no, oh my god. Okay, so this show. You're not gonna
screen
hold.
share. My
Okay, yeah,
potato
I
computer.
will in a second. Okay, screen share. Let's go to this. Okay, this show is so poorly rated with each episode that not only are all of them the exact same rating, but above there, all of them say top rated. All of
What?
them.
Wait, what?
Because all of them are like the same rating and because they're all equally bad, so they all say top rated for the show.
What the? I can't believe this shit.
Yeah,
Even Batwoman wasn't like that, bro.
yeah. But anyway,
The show
if I
got
would have to
worse.
say my least favorite, it would probably be episode 6, just because I thought Gorgon was the least shit in it, and I guess also, and then the one episode that had some Black Bolt was not completely terrible, I guess maybe. But yeah, then my worst would probably be Jesus. There's too many to choose from. Maybe episode 7 or episode 4, because Medusa and Royal Family are just that shit. Whatever.
This show is so bad, and it's sad because I feel like there's a lot of really interesting ideas, but it's just like poorly executed. Like everyone involved should never have made that show. Like fire them all, make a new crew. I don't know. Hire new actors.
Yeah.
Is it really fair to call them actors when we compare them to others? Oh,
Hmm.
bro. Um. Okay, so I will let you guess what's my favorite and what's my least favorite.
I'm gonna guess that your favorite is. Let's see. I'll guess your favorite is episode 5, and then your least favorite is episode 8.
Very interesting. So my favorite is episode 7,
Really?
and I gave that one a 7 out of 10, which is the highest score I gave
Wow,
to.
really? You like that episode? I thought it was dog shit.
It was average. The dialogue was bad. The pacing was bad. It's not believable that the sister would be in love with a human she met like 1 or 2 days. But hey, that was an enjoyable episode considering how bad the rest is.
I thought it was just dog shit and pointless, but you know.
Episode 5 though is the worst.
Really? You
Uh,
thought episode 5 was the worst?
yeah, and that's funny because the average of that season is between a 5 and a 6 as the individual episodes, but the entire season is dog shit, so it doesn't
Oh,
really reflect well. So
okay,
episode
well,
5 is the worst. My
damn.
issues were people cannot aim. It wasn't funny. They repeat stuff we already know. They tell instead of showing. Not funny. The lightning was terrible. Plot convenience. People just happened to bump into each other. Telling instead of showing. That episode reflects every single issue with the entire show.
Yeah, well, you know what? There was like nothing that happened in that episode, so I thought it might have been your least shit. But I mean, my second guess would have been like episode 3. Where's that for you?
So episode 3 was kind of in the middle. That one was a 5.5. So that's like in the
Wow.
right in the middle.
You gave like fucking She-Hulk episodes like a 2, man. Why are you giving Inhumans like a 5.5? Come on now.
This is better than She-Hulk, bro.
Oh god, no.
She-Hulk is like rock bottom.
And this is 2.
This is bad, but this is not rock bottom.
Oh, it's rock bottom. Holy fuck.
She-Hulk is like, bro. I had so many issues with She-Hulk,
Yes,
and
but I have so many
every
issues with this
episode
as
were
well.
like 30-minute ish, and this thing, like the average episode was like 40-ish minutes. I still had issues every episodes, but not as many as She-Hulk, and that was longer episodes. I strongly believe this was better than She-Hulk. Um, She-Hulk is like really rock bottom. Hell, it's worse than Legends of Tomorrow worst
Yeah,
seasons.
well, again, just was she. Oh, hold on. Did my thing freeze? Hello? Oh, okay. Well, my thing froze for a second. Are you there?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. But for some reason, okay, after you said She Hulk is my worst, my thing froze for like a whole 20 seconds. You know, there's like a bunch of rain outside and thunderstorm right now, so my internet might go out. So, you know what? Let's speed this up a little bit. Uh,
what would be your grade out of 10 for Inhumans?
uh, this gets like a 1.5. Like, again, I know you like hate all those writing things and everything in She Hulk, but just look at how just like She Hulk, look at how the show's even just like made. Like, it looks like a bad fan made film. And yes, this is a
You
fucking
insult
show by
fan-made
Marvel.
movies, bro. You insult
God.
fan-made movies.
Yeah, it is an insult. Like, there's been fucking Halo fan made movies that look better than this. Holy fuck.
So for me, it's at first it was a 4.5, but that didn't count. I forgot to mention the acting. Now I did consider the acting, and our talk made the show just worst, and it's just not fair to give that one a 4.5. So my verdict is a 3 out of 10 for the entire season of Inhuman.
Yeah,
That's really bad.
yeah.
Um,
That's pretty being pretty genuine, just generous with it. But you know what? A three for you is fucking is
it's it's like terrible, awful.
no, it's like fucking kill me. That's how low it is for you. So I'll take
it's
it.
it's like one of the lowest rate I ever gave to a TV show.
Yeah,
I think the only lower thing I could think of would be Legend sixth season and fifth season, and maybe Shield. Well, actually, not maybe Shield for sure. I'm quite sure I gave Shield like 2 or 2.5 the entire season. If I didn't, I need to rethink
oh,
because
okay.
Shield was really bad.
Yeah, I can't remember what you gave it overall. It was something like a fucking 1.25 or some shit. Or 1.5, I know. But
I know that was
anyway.
lower. I can only bet that was lower. I truly hate Shield.
Okay, yeah. Yep, it's like it's an insult to comedies. That's what it is. But it's like people who hate comedy made that show. But anyway, and I felt so bad for the actress. But anyway, our last thing is Preacher. Okay,
Yeah,
so Preacher
Preacher.
season 4. Honestly, I have to agree with what everyone online said about this season. So I'm just going to kind of repeat what they said. It started out strong, but then it became mediocre. The craziness of it has completely worn out. It's rarely bad, but it continues to have the same issues and bad tone at a lot of points, and no character growth with a lot of characters that the others did, like season 3. This is like the general consensus of what critics online right now are saying, and I have to agree. All the subplots just weren't worth watching with what they did. And also, from what I heard, compared to the comics, they played it incredibly safe with Jesus. The comics go way harder with it. So yeah, that was sad. Yeah, I just really wasn't impressed with this season all that much. I would say it's about like equal with my thoughts to season 3 though still, but like how it's made and everything, like I do think the actors still did a fair job, I guess. The visuals were still fair. Um, I just still like the music and such and technical aspects. And while there were definitely a lot of points like that, there were other points that were good with all that stuff. So yeah, um, so it wasn't bad, but yeah, this was for me like a competent season at best. This was disappointing, but I'd probably give it like around the same as season 3, which I forgot what that was. So, but anyway, what did you think?
I will shock you maybe, but I had a blast.
Wow. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
That season wasn't perfect by any means, but I will say it was the most flashy season. Like when you really like look at the entire show, there was a lot of action there. And maybe the story beats are not as great as past season. This I recognize it, but the action, bro, they gave everything they had. And I will also say that maybe they didn't adapt enough of the comics for the fans, but
Yeah. Like again, they went way more extreme in the comics with that stuff, and with the character of Jesus, they went way more extreme. Like in this, they really toned it down with that in this season, particular. I can't speak. You know what I mean. In the
yeah,
other seasons, they did a good job of doing it just as extreme, but in this one, yeah. And also, yeah, barely anyone tuned into the finale and everything. So yeah,
But
this got canceled. The fifth season got canceled because of that, sadly.
like this season, I will say that was the right time to go. Like if they did a fifth season, I don't see the show being as
Yeah.
good.
What do you have watched the fifth season though? They didn't cancel it.
I don't know. Uh, like I feel like season 4 was the right moment to end it. If they did a fifth season, I would be curious. I would watch it, but I don't think I would like the show as much. Now with the 4 season run we got, I'm satisfied. I liked it the way they ended things, and the overall show is something I see myself rewatching. So season 4, I had these moments throughout where I was like, the cowboy is one dimensional in the same way the mother was in season 3. And
Mm-hmm.
at least, credit where credit is due, the focus wasn't on him. It was on tying up loose end. It was on ending the show and ending each character arc and ending the story. So even if the cowboy, I was kind of done seeing him. He was cool in season 2, but I feel like it was overused, like way too much. And it's not a character that got any growth. Well, by the end of the show, he did get growth, but it took him like 20 episodes when they could have told his story in like 5. Like you didn't need to spend so much time on that character because it wasn't developed well enough. Um, but I'm glad like they used him, but just enough, you know. And I think this season is really sad because the biggest sin this season had was pacing for me. I feel like the same story could have been told under 8 episodes. I don't feel like it's justified to have that 10 episode season. Where would I cut at? I don't know. Maybe I would cut down the runtime of some episode and still keep it at 10. But I feel like they were just like pretending to have substance when it had none in some of the point and aspect of that season. But the action was on point, and Cassidy and Tulip growth was great, and the way they handled Jesse death was really cool. And then they bring him back. That was entertaining. I enjoyed that, and Jesse basically being in L was really fun. Um, and Jesse as a character also got really good growth. Um, by the end, he's like, "Yeah, I no more overuse that power um, I received," and he got closure with his dad, and it feels complete. They didn't need a fifth season. I don't see how they could evolve or change the characters. And I enjoyed Tulip a lot. Again, Tulip and Jesse is like what we should strive for when it comes to relationship because this is true love. I think their relationship is just wonderful. It I don't have much more to say. And Cassidy was really cool. Even Cassidy, he got material this season because it was like, why should I keep being immortal if the person I love doesn't want to be with me? That's deep. Um, Eugene now being like somewhat of a anti-hero because he kind of backstab preacher was enjoyable, that goes back to season 2. And yeah, I just think it was a really really good season. I will let you guess what's my top 3 and worst 3 episodes this season. Cool.
Sorry. Yeah, for Preacher, you said top three and worst three.
Yep.
Okay. Let me go to IMDb and check the episodes again, just so I know the numbers. Um, okay, I'm gonna guess episode 9, episode 6, and episode uh, what would the other be? Maybe an episode 7. I'll say so. 6, 7, 9. I'll say, and then your bottom. I'll say. I was gonna say 2, but I'll still say 2. But after what you said, I'm thinking it might not be that as one of the bottom ones. But I'll still say it. I mean, it doesn't matter much. Whenever it's not like this, I'm like in a game show trying to win $10 million. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, 2, uh, 8, and then uh, 3. So yeah,
Very
2, 3, and 8.
interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm
there's
honestly just kind of guess on like stuff with like the craziness, but also like action. And I don't remember all the episodes that like had the most action or craziness and stuff like that. So it's still a bit of a guess at random. But I think Overture is one of them. Episode 9, I think that had a lot of things you might love in it. That
yeah,
or of the finale, one of them.
yeah. You know what's very interesting that I really forgot to mention and I thought was interesting is free will. The free will and how important this is. And I think that was fabulous the way they depicted
Yeah.
free will throughout that season.
Yeah, and I
And
think they depicted the villain well throughout this in the and a lot of the like tough like things to think about, but again, it's just the comics did it better again. But also, the lighting I think was actually insanely good in this season. I'll give it that.
yeah, I enjoyed the crap out of that season. That's a wonderful season for me.
So what were your favorite episodes and worst episodes?
Okay, my favorite is episode 10, the finale. And as a side note, this is a 10 out of 10, and this is probably my favorite episode in the entire show.
Wow, that is a surprise. Usually, when we cover these shows, the last episode ever usually isn't out there. It's your favorite. But and I was gonna say that because I thought it was obvious with what you said, but I thought it would be too obvious, so I didn't.
Yeah, that's like my top pick. This is a 10 out of 10 and probably my favorite episode in
Yeah.
the entire show. Uh, Coming in second place would be the first episode with another 10 out of 10 and one of my favorite episode in the show. I don't know where exactly it would scale, but I know it's like in the higher part. Um, I just like that one a lot. Coming in third place, we got episode 9. Episode 9 is another 10 out of 10. I really like that one. But I'd say maybe it's not one of my. Well, maybe it's like top 10 ish because I know I had other.
And maybe
Um,
like in the middle of like those top episodes of the overall
yeah,
show. Yeah.
exactly. Got it right.
Now your
Now,
worst.
my worst streak. This is really are I'm reading my notes right now. So there's that one. There's that one. And there's that one. Oh, that's actually perfect. There's a clear cut. So there's really like three bottom ones. So the first bottom one would be episode 8 with a 9 out of 10. Telling instead of showing. Not funny. Not funny. These are my issues with that one. I still
Hmm.
liked it a lot. That's a 9. For me, that's like, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff I'm
And then your
looking
next
for.
ones,
My next one would be episode 5, which is another 9 out of 10.
God.
And my issues would be the cowboy at guy is one dimensional. Plot convenience, phone call happening before the villain and his subordinate knife. I know this is some kind of Easter egg that refers to season 2 or 3, I can't remember. But it's like, nah, not again. I had the issue by then, even there. Um,
Yep.
the other thing is another pointless musical. I don't like musical, you know me. The only musical I can stand behind is like most musical in Doom Patrol. Some doesn't work, but I'd say like 75 to 80%
Well,
of the
you
time Doom
said you'd
Patrol
like
make it
some like
right.
the music moments in Legion.
Yeah, Legion had fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think musicals like I think you just like need to watch some of like the right ones and then maybe you'll like them or and then maybe you'll like get more into musicals, like be more loose with it. Like I think it just depends. Like there's many different like styles and genres of musicals and musical films.
the other musical I remember liking is One in the Boys. I can't remember season 2 or 3, but there was a musical part I actually liked. Um, so coming next, episode 3, another 9 out of 10. So my first issue would be they made all the doctors incompetent so Tulip could escape until the nurse injected her. Uh, Another pointless musical number I could not stand. Pacing more Cassidy feeling guilty near no progress. Um, that episode was probably the weakest that season. And among all of the 9 I gave, I think that one is one of the worst. I'd say I'm not even sure if it deserves a 9. Maybe I would actually knock off an entire point to that one and place it at 8. Because I'm not the biggest fan of that episode. That episode was a low point for me. And I was worried after watching it. I was like, oh my, will the rest of the season be like that? But I was reassured it wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it deserves a 9 if you, if you like the rest that much. But, yeah.
Um, but that's clearly like that one episode. I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't work as good as the others. What would be your top 3 and worst 3?
My top three would be uh, episode episode 7, episode 9, and episode 10. And then my bottom three would be episode 5, episode 2, and episode 1.
Very interesting. So I really like this show. This is a good show. I enjoyed from start to finish. Even with the more rocky episode,
Yeah.
more weaker episode, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I'd probably give this like a 6.5, but I still enjoyed it. I just, have issues. That's all.
So 6.5 for the entire season.
Yes, and then for the whole
Okay.
show, I'd probably give this a 7.
So for me, this season is a 9.7 out of 10. So this is like really high. I think Arrow's second season and Stargirl's second season are better than this. But when it comes to other 9.7, I can't remember if I gave Superman and Lois first season a 9.5 or a 9.7. This I can't remember.
I think it was a 9.7, but
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
that's Arrow season 5. I'm wrong.
Uh,
Not Arrow season 2. Arrow season 5. But yeah, Arrow season 5 is above this. Um, but 9.7 for me is really high. It's like near perfection. It's not perfect, but it's really up there. Um, so the entire show for me is a 9. It cannot be higher because I feel like every season has like some kind of issues.
Yes, in season three drags down your ratings. So
Yeah, yeah, it clearly does. If it was just solely based on season one and three, no, hell, season two and three, maybe not one. One is also a bit weaker. I still like season one, but I feel like season one was rough at points. Season three wasn't that great, but season two and season four are a blast for me. This
yeah,
show overall, I'm glad we watched it. I'm
yes, and I
satisfied
and
with
I
it.
and I'm glad, again, very good show. Maybe even a great show for me, but yeah, seven, very high for me for like these shows. But yeah, I'm just more so surprised that AMC produced it and didn't completely fuck it up because it's AMC. But
I'm looking forward to talk about Agents of Shield next week. I hope I will have enough time to rewatch because I've only seen uh, Agents of Shield once last year. But yeah, I'm enjoying my time watching a bunch of stuff every week. Um, so yeah, anything else you'd like to add?
no, that's about it. But yeah, great stream. This is like our shortest in a while, but yeah, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like we didn't it. Like it's not like we like breezed by a lot of topics. We didn't. Like if anything, we spent too much time on some of them, such as Gen V. So
I'm
this
glad
just
Gen V lasted that long.
yeah,
Uh,
this just happens sometimes, I guess.
that
No, and
I think my favorite discussion we had was Gen V. Even if I was crazy and everyone else was on the same page, I liked our Gen V part. Gen V is it's not my favorite show or thing to watch, but it's my favorite thing to talk about.
yeah, for me, it's the opposite. I do enjoy watching it, even if it's not great to me, but I don't have too much to say about it, honestly, because everything that I did have a lot to say about it and like what the show's about and the potential, the pros and cons in like the first three episodes when we first talked about it. But after that, it's just this. Just be repeating myself. I don't have anything really new to say. Like it's kind of the same each episode, but it is getting better though with like the acting and everything. I do think.
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree with like the acting that the actors are getting better with each episode?
I will be honest. It's rough show for me. I if I don't care about your character, I don't care about the actor. So I they go
Okay.
end to end, and I don't care about any of these characters. That's why I don't care about the actor. Um, yeah, that's why sometimes I like shows and others I just don't. Um, Sometimes the actor does elevate something, but if I don't like your character, like even my favorite actor, for example, if he gets a bad character, I won't really care that much about that role. You know, what appeals really to my feelings is the characterization, and I just don't think Gen V has it. Um, they have cool powers, but I feel like that's the only good thing about these characters. Um, okay, they are all great, cool. I've seen many shows where the characters are great. It's not the first time. Um, so yeah, very fun talk. Um, thank you a lot, Cole. You're amazing as usual. Dedicated. I like your dedication. I will never be enough grateful for you and what you're doing. You're like you're a real friend, and I like the fact that you're motivated to come with us like nearly every week. Like I don't think we missed any. Like so, at worst, we basically moved to another day. That's like at worst what happened, or like maybe once or twice you did overslept, but we still found way to like connect and do stuff. Thank you a lot, man. That's very appreciated. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
I hope people enjoyed. Uh, Cole, have a great one. Take care, and we will talk later.
Yep. You too, and I hope